units, stand by to copy a safe alert. All units, copy a safe alert. It's going to be authority from Pima County Sheriff's Office, last name at Skyline Drive in Campbell. Occurred on yesterday's date at 12:15 hours. Subject last name of Guthrie, first of Nancy. Date of birth 1/27 of 1942. 84-year-old white female, 5'4", 150, brown and blue. Last name wearing unknown clothing description. Subject was not seen at church and family went to the residence, and subject was not at home. All personal belongings, including a 1021 and wallet and vehicle, were still there. Subject is nowhere to be found. Subject suffers from limited mobility and has medication scheduled to follow up and needs daily. If located, check code 20 and contact Pima County Sheriff's Office. Again, last name at Skyline and Campbell in Tucson, and a safe alert at 12:35.
Stand by. The copy. One item EPB safe alert. One item safe alert will be out of Tucson, Skyline, and Campbell Avenue. We're on February 1st, approximately 12:15 hours. Subject A, Nancy Guthrie, date of birth 1/27/84. White female, 5'4", 150 pounds, brown hair, blue eyes, lips. Description for unknown clothing. Subject is not seen at a church. Family went to residence and subject was not at their home. 1021 wallet, vehicle were still there. Subject is, again, suffers from limited mobility and medication scheduled that they need followed. If located, contact Tucson PD. No additional time, 13:09 hours.
Safe alert for the Skyline Drive in Campbell, Pima County. 1511-7. So, safe alert, Skyline Drive in Campbell, Pima County. On yesterday's date, February 1st, at about 12:15 hours. Subject date of birth of 1/27/42. Of age, white female, 5'4", 150. Weapon, wearing clothing. Subject was not seen at church. Residence of subject was not at home. All personal belongings, including wallet and vehicle, were still there. Subject suffers limited medical medication scheduled to follow and needs daily welfare and contact Pima County.
All units copy third broadcast of safe alert to the authority from Pima County Sheriff's Office, last seen at Skyline and Campbell in Tucson. Safe alert last seen on yesterday's date at 12:15 hours. Subject's last name is Guthrie, first of Nancy, 1/27 of 1942. 84-year-old white female, 5'4", 150, brown and blue. Last name wearing unknown clothing. Subject was last. District 2 and 12, stand by to copy one item on the APB summary of safe alert from Skyline and Campbell in Tucson. Districts 2 and 12, copy attempt to locate one item on this APB summary of safe alert from Skyline and Campbell in Tucson. Occurred yesterday's date around 12:15 hours. Subject is Nancy Guthrie, date of birth 1/27/42, 84 years of age, white female, 5'4", 150, brown or blue. Last seen wearing unknown clothing. Subject was not seen at church, so family went to the residence, and subject was not at home. All personal belongings, including the 1021 wallet and vehicle, was still there, and she was nowhere to be found. Subject suffers from limited mobility and has a medication scheduled to follow that she needs daily. If located, check welfare and contact BCSD. Safe alert out of Tucson, Skyline, and Campbell. District 12 units copy safe alert from Skyline and Campbell out of Tucson. Subject is going to be Nancy Guthrie, date of birth 2/1/26. Last seen earlier today around 12:15. Correction, yesterday at around 12:15 hours. Date of birth is 1/27/42. She's an 84-year-old white female, 5'4", 150, brown over blue, unknown clothing description. She was not seen at church or at her residence, and the subject was not at home. All her belongings, including 1021 wallet and vehicle, were still at her 1020. She does suffer from limited mobility and has medication scheduled to follow and needs it daily. If located, contact Pima County Sheriff's and code 20 and of APB overall correction safe alert.
What it do, guys? It's your boy YouTube Juice. I had to dive back in here and let's talk about some Nancy Guthrie, man. Let's talk. Let's talk about it. We got to talk about it. I missed the live yesterday. I was supposed to get on last night, but I got a little too behind, and yeah, I would have got started way too late. And you can see now I'm already starting late. It's 1:55 a.m. in the morning for me right now. 59 degrees here in Tucson, Arizona. Welcome to those of you guys who plugged in already here. Big welcomes, guys. 40 days, guys. It's been 40 days. Today makes day 40 that Nancy Guthrie has gone missing. Day 40. I don't know what to think no more. I don't know how to feel. Right now I know how to feel, but tomorrow I might not feel the same again. You know, it's this is a very unique case. Man, I'm starting to think that this might just be the perfect crime. And I don't want to think that way, but you know, because I think we've been positive for quite some time now as far as, you know, a miracle happening, and that would be Nancy coming home. But I think I've been past that point. I'm just at a point where I'm like, you know, just come home dead or alive at this point. We just want to find Nancy, dead or alive. Dead or alive. Anyways, let's dive right into it. I don't want to waste no time. Just to kind of recap, Guthrie was dropped off at her home. We all know Nancy Guthrie went missing February 1st. Her pacemaker monitor was detected at one point at 2:28. I don't know. There's been all kind of things going on. The timeline to 41 minutes in the house. This case has been everywhere. What else? I kind of feel like the sheriff are involved in this. Anyway, just to kind of recap, though, Nancy went missing on the 1st. I kind of got sidetracked there. She went missing on the 1st of February because she missed church. There was suspicions, obviously, about her whereabouts. And that happened at about 11 a.m. I want to say 11 a.m. Let me just pull up the timeline real quick. Although this is not even facts, it's not even valid information. It's what a lot of us suspect because it was put out there, and a lot of us all assume that it was correct. Although we don't know how long the suspects had spent there inside the home. For all we know, they could have spent 5 minutes. They could have spent an hour and then came back later and spent another hour there cleaning up, for all we know. Do I not have the timeline? I just had the timeline. And I just like to pull up the timeline because it kind of gives a little flashback of everything, even though it's not the correct timeline. So some of the things that's happened so far is the door opened. As far as the facts that we know, the door opened at the 9:48, the garage door. Then we had the garage door closing 2 minutes later at 9:50. Door cam was also disconnected. Pacemaker spiked, and then software detects the person cam. Whatever. I don't know how to feel with this investigation anymore. I really don't. I'm at a dead end. I just feel like this thing is just gonna keep. We're just gonna keep, running into dead ends based on what we discovered. But I'm starting to feel like the sheriff could be also involved. Like I'm almost at a point where maybe we should even investigate the sheriff department. Could we get them investigated somehow, some way? I mean, dang. Anyway, based on the information that I wanted to go over something real quick. A lot of people don't know this, but and it's a lot of, it's not facts as well. It's what people say. A lot of times when a person is reported missing, they're not reported missing for 24 to 48 hours. I guess that happens in a lot of cases, but it depends on the circumstances. So it's true, but it's not true. So depending on the circumstances, a lot of people, in general, they're not reported missing for 24 to 48 hours. But in this case, since Nancy had, the pacemaker, she had health issues. So I believe that's why they did it right away. But we all know this thing got off to a bad start, as far as the sheriff department going back and back, as far as it becoming a crime scene over and over again in the beginning. This is a hell of a story. This is a hell of a story. So, upon researching some information, I just wanted to enlighten some folks, just, because I don't know if a lot of people educate themselves when it comes to statistics. But I just wanted to put it out there that kidnapping and murder cases involving elderly victims are considered rare. So statistical outliers based on the FBI data from January 2025 through January 2026, victims aged 70 and older accounted for about 1% of kidnapping in the United States. So 54,653 people were reported kidnapping. Only 692 involved victims were age 70. So elderly victims often know their abductor. A significant portion of these cases involve family members or known individuals moving elders from a designated caregiver or faculty without permission. A lot of the times it's saying that elderly homicides are committed by acquaintances, family members, or intimate partners. Suspect identification is higher than a stranger. So I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy to me. Just seeing this, just reading about this. As far as the clearance rate goes, as far as them finding somebody for murder or kidnapping, it's saying it's 60% in recent years. Crimes with known perpetrators, such as family murders or elderly, tend to have higher closure rates, though they are often complicated by victims' isolation or delayed reporting. So also it states that lack of evidence is very rare. And we all know law enforcement, they rely on that. So I don't know. I thought that was super interesting. As far as the clearance rate here in Tucson, Arizona, the TPD handles most of cases like this, and the clearance rate is 90%. So it's a very high chance. Well, unfortunately, it's not a very high chance because TPD is not the one dealing with it. It's the sheriff department. I'm getting really overwhelmed. I literally wake up thinking about Nancy. The first thing I do on my phone for the past 40 days is check to see if there's any Nancy updates. Right away. But I'm starting to think this may just be, I know for certain this is an inside job. I'm for certain of that. I know that, well, personally, this is all spec, but I think that also these people were already paid, and I think they were paid well. And I think that might be a reason why they're not biting on their reward. You know, if you got really paid, even if it wasn't $1 million, you know, if they got paid $500,000, I feel like that would be good enough to not even worry about that $1 million reward that that they're putting out there. And even if they did bite on this reward, what are you going to do with $1 million if you spend, the rest of your life in prison anyways? What you going to do with that? Use that for commissary, be rich in prison? I don't know if that sounds like a very good life. But I just think that first 48 hours is critical. And I think when we miss that first 48 window, even after the fact they finally, got things rolling, even if we started then the 48 hours, that might have been, that might have got us somewhere. But I think that first 48 was critical because, that person has had so much time to make, if Nancy's no longer here, to do something with the body, to maybe even disguise itself, to maybe even leave this country if he has to. I know for a fact that they have more information and they know more than we know. I just don't think that they have enough to, even if they have the person, I don't think they have enough to tie this person to this crime. Now, that's why I say that this might just be a perfect crime. It just might be. Yeah, so TPD is Tucson Police Department. Unfortunately, they're not on this case. I wish they were. They have a 97% clearance rate, and that's as of 2024. So 65 of 67 murders cleared in 2024. And, total homicides in Tucson area dropped to 54 in 2025, which is the lowest total since 2019. We don't know for sure if this is a homicide, but I'm pretty sure we're all at a point where really we can say for sure. But we're all trying to stay hopeful and, just hope a miracle happens. But I think the Guthrie family is aware that chance is 1%. It's 1%. I don't think that I'm almost like at a point where there's not going to be any changing my mind. If this goes another week, I'm going to be for certain we're never going to find Nancy. I think we're at that point. At what point are we going to realize that?
Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out my show.
This is
really
a perfect crime. Anyway, before I dive in, guys, I wanted to shout out some of the viewers here. I had my first member ever, considering I just started a membership program and I'm just getting back partnered up with YouTube. I wanted to shout out my first members. And I don't know if Shannon's here, but shout out to Shannon. I appreciate you. She's been supportive of the channel since day one. And, I also have another member as well, which I'll shout out later. But I just want everybody to know this channel's different. I want to build a place where we could all be heard, and even if we don't get the results we're looking for, I just want to tell you all a little bit about the channel. And you know how things been on this channel since day one. And no matter how much I, grow here, you'll always be heard on this channel. Just know that. I can't respond to everybody in the chat, but a majority I will. But also, one thing I don't like is to see how people have to get a reply through a super chat. Not everybody has money, and I'm not even there yet. But I'm just saying I kind of hate the fact that some people, just to get acknowledged, they got to spend some money. So that's why it's important to drop a comment, because I do like to read the comments, and I could, obviously reply back to a comment, but I could, I like to reply back to the comments on the following stream. So just wanted to say that, but shouts to Shadow. I truly appreciate those, who have been locked in. I got a long way to go. It's just the beginning of time for me. Anyway, I just want to just scavenge through some comments real quick, and then I just want to watch a few videos tonight. I don't really have too much to. There hasn't really been any updates. There's really nothing really happening. But I want to talk about that neighbor that Brian went and spoke to, and then also. I think that's pretty much it. The suspect that was on the porch, I went and got a view of what I thought that could have been that car. I've been saying that there's a car in the background of the guy in the picture, where he's, has no backpack. I've been saying that there's a car there. I think that there's a car there. I went over there yesterday, and someone said it was a sign. I was talking to a few folks, JLR, Dad's Gone Live, and then, 857. And I think they agreed with the other guy saying that it was, a sign. And I think it is too, because I didn't realize that Nancy's door isn't facing directly at the street. It's facing, if you're standing looking out on her porch, it's facing right. And originally I thought the house was facing west, but it's really actually facing north. But to be exactly precise, it would be northwest. Because I was trying to figure out which way the house faces. So yeah, anyway, that's besides the point. But I won't read all the comments. I just wanted to, briefly go through a couple of these comments to respond to some of the comments too. And then we'll move along here. But anyways, somebody mentioned something saying about something pertaining to churches, saying that churches, who is this? Terry. Terry says churches do check on people that give a lot of money. If you don't give SITH, you can never show up again, and they won't call you or look for you. Because I was wondering why they checked on Nancy, because I was saying that if you miss a day of church, normally someone doesn't reach out to see what's going on. But she's older, so I changed my kind of perception on that. One day I was asking on stream about Luke, and I wanted to see what his rap sheet was, what he's been arrested for. So Martha says he was arrested in 2019 for drugs, 2019 to 2020. In 2025, he was arrested for drugs and guns. And this was pertaining to the video that we watched with Luke's mom. But anyways, like I said, I won't respond to every single one of these because it's a lot. But there was more than enough comments for me on this last video that we did. So I just wanted to kind of go through some of these comments and respond. So, yeah. Is it Sabian? I want to say Sabian. It says there was a computer programmer guy that took the mask off using some kind of AI program, and it was pretty bad, pretty telling. Focuses on the eyes as well. I don't know what to say to that, actually, even though I read that one. He says, I think it was Planet Blood, and she was taken out the back in a sack. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I don't know. I think she was taken out in the front. That's my theory on it. I don't think they went through the back, but it's highly possible. I do believe that there was more than one person for sure. Someone mentioned that I was all the way off on the blood. because we did. I was trying to figure out what the type of blood it would be if, just analyzing certain splashes and how big the droplets were. So I guess this person says, I was way off on the blood. Who is this? Pragmatic Solutions, I think. It says, you're way off on the blood, small, tiny splatters next to the large droplets. Large droplets equal breathing. Exhale, blood, i.e. bloody nose, mouth, etc. The ski mask perp has it just for show, the just for show holster. And top heavy Walter Semiauto. I'm not familiar with guns at all. I know that gun was for sure for show. I don't think that guy was there to kill anyone. I think he was the lookout and the person that was there to help out. But that's just my theory. As far as the tiny droplets, I feel like my theory was correct on that, because those droplets that were there are pertaining to someone who's been like punched or hit with that's what it says, at least. And these are what the droplets look like hit with something or like punched. And that's what the droplets had looked like, and they called it a low velocity spatter. So I think we went over that a couple other streams. So that's why he was saying that I believe incorrect on that. So that was interesting anyway, but I don't know. I could be incorrect. Someone says that they noticed that Brian, this is Peter, he says that he noticed that Brian Ensign's original video porch on the flowers are on top of the blood, meaning the blood was there when Spook walked up in mask. Or I think he might have meant to say the perp. Looks like it was staged, meaning they already had her blood in a container to drip there. Nah, not at all. Not at all. Why would they have her blood there? Why would they do that? I don't even see them having, although this guy looks super comfortable, I don't see them having the time to do that. Come on now, stop. Why would you go grab a container? You're in the middle of a kidnapping, a potential murder for all we know. Why would you put something in a container and then pour it out just to make it look like something? But then again, that theory could be correct, because this could have a crazy turn to it. I mean, the sheriff could be possibly involved in this. I don't know. I don't know what to think anymore. I don't know how to even feel. This is crazy. Melinda, whoever this is, man, thank you. She said shout out to the, she said she really likes the channel and the style. She says it must be, I think she said nerving, living in the same town where Nancy was taken against her will in the early morning dark hours. Hopefully very soon it'll be solved and poor Nancy found. All best from Australia. Shout out Australia, by the way, yo. But yeah, it is. It's traumatizing. Not gonna lie. I check on my little ones, and occasionally I feel like I hear things sometimes. I'm nervous going out to the car. Yeah, this is traumatizing. It for sure is. Anyway, there were just so many comments on that prior video. I don't think I want to spend too much more time reading these comments. Somebody just did one 4 seconds ago. Jeez. Okay. Yeah. I think we're done reading these comments. Yeah. There's so many in here that I haven't responded to. And there was one more I wanted to respond to, but I don't even want to spend the time looking for it. I think it might have been this one, but yeah, we'll move along. So I wanted to watch this video here with Court TV. I thought his story was pretty interesting.
She raised strong daughters, including Savannah Guthrie, host of NBC's Today Show, But in her own home, Nancy Guthrie now stands at the center of a chilling mystery. The 84-year-old was last seen late Saturday night, January 31st. By Sunday morning, she had vanished. Her family found the house disturbed and called authorities. Investigators quickly shifted from missing person search to suspected
I think that's my other number.
Blood identified as Nancy's was found outside, and detectives revealed that digital monitoring tied to her pacemaker and home security systems were disabled overnight. Then came the big reveal.
I'll never forget that.
A masked individual caught on camera outside her home in the dark, armed, deliberate. Ransom letters also surfaced, though their authenticity has not been confirmed by investigators. The investigation is scaling back while thousands of tips continue to pour in, and Nancy remains missing. So as Nancy remains missing, and she's still waiting for that big break, that arrest, whatever is going to happen to change the game here, you always have to kind of go back and remember and reflect about some of the facts in the case and the way things have developed here. So let's bring in Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas, who's really good at this stuff. Cody, let's go over that timeline again about what we know here.
Well, yeah, Vinny, we know a couple of things. We know that Nancy was last seen the night of January 31st. That was a Saturday going into the morning of February 1st. She was last seen January 31st after being dropped off by her daughter, Annie, who also lives out there in Tucson nearby. She was dropped off around 9:45 that night. Now, she didn't show up at church the next morning, that Sunday morning. The family went to check on her at the house, found out she wasn't there. She was reported missing by noon on February 1st. But what I want to do now is take a listen to the sheriff talking about a timeline of what law enforcement thinks happened that morning of February 1st. Take a listen.
This is a timeline that we have been able to develop with some of the things that we've had processed. Various pieces of electronics that we've gathered. Sunday morning, early morning at 1:47 a.m., the doorbell camera disconnects. At 2:12 a.m., software detects a person on a camera, but there's no video available. They had no subscription, and therefore it would rewrite itself, it just kind of loops, right, and covers up. That's what our analysis teams have told us. We're not done with that. We'll do all we can, but that's what it says. So that detects a person on camera. Could that be an animal? I imagine it's possible. We don't know that. We just have no video. But we're not giving up on that. 2:28. Nancy's pacemaker app shows that it was a disconnect from the phone.
When you say the doorbell camera was disconnected, do you believe that camera was taken?
We do not have...
So, I don't know if you guys know, so somebody in the last chat said that Annie and Tommaso got their car back. And I wasn't certain about that, but just so you know, they have not got their vehicle yet. They haven't got their vehicle back yet. So, just saying.
But in our possession, we've not located.
So then, as this investigation continues to unfold that week, the ransom notes start coming in.
There's something funny. There's something really, really funny going on. Something ain't right. Something is not right. But somebody came in and they made a statement and they said the reason why the vehicle may not have been returned is because there could have been the seats have maybe got pulled out and they sent them to Quantico, and that could be what's taking so long. There could be many of things, Also, they said the FBI could be also dragging their feet. Meaning they're just trying to hold on to it as long as possible, just because, I don't know. There's many reasons why their vehicle could very much so still be being looked at. But if your car is being looked at, that means you're still under investigation. If there's certain things that still need to go through, whatever they need to go through, then obviously they're not cleared. I don't understand what the heck's going on with Nanos, but something is not right.
Multiple ransom notes at that. An imposter was eventually arrested for trying to take advantage of the situation, but the FBI at the time said they were taking one of those notes seriously. Take a listen to this.
We are aware of a ransom letter that was sent to the local media and then to national outlets. As with every lead, we are taking it seriously.
There have been, as far as we know, I think 3 ransom notes so far, 1 arrest. Are they all different? Do you think there's different authors behind all of them, or?
So the one that went to the media is the one we are currently investigating and working on. The imposter that I talked about, where an arrest was made early this morning, that there will be more information. We believe there's no evidence to connect this to Nancy's case.
I might have turned it down.
It was someone that was trying to profit from a total imposter.
And we know that note that they were taking seriously demanded $6 million specifically in Bitcoin. That note also had 2 deadlines that have since passed. We're sitting here now 38 days into this investigation.
Just think about all the leads that we've had, that we thought we had, but then we were at a, we were back to square one all over again. It's almost like the sheriff's department is taking us on like a goose trail. I don't know. Like it's like they're just messing with us. Like they're just prolonging this thing. Like, what's going on? Seriously, what's going on? I don't understand. We have way too much technology to not have figured stuff out by now. Way too much. And then we got the sheriff's department not getting along with the FBI. And for all we know, they're supposedly on good terms. Then a lady speaks out. It takes 40 days for someone to say they saw a suspicious guy in their neighborhood. Dang near 40 days for her to say, oh, I might have saw somebody with a hat. He looks suspicious. What? We got somebody coming out as the FBI. The lady, we're going to get there because I'm going to play that video when Brian went and saw that neighbor. But come on, man. There's just stuff that happens relatively quickly on a normal basis that's happening in a long come on. We're discovering stuff that's discovered in a short amount of time, in a long period of time. This is something ain't right. It's just been way too many leads. Way too many leads just to come back to square one that don't seem like they were logical leads. It just feels like we're just being dragged around. Like we're being tampered with. Literally. They're just messing with us. I don't know. I don't know what to think no more. I don't know what to feel.
And Benny still no Nancy.
No Nancy. And Cody's going to stick with us. This case at many points has reminded me of the Idaho case. But in the Idaho case, that knife sheath was left at the crime scene. It was such a big mistake. Which brings us to the first question in our investigation tonight on this case. What mistakes did the abductor make? Is this a perfect crime?
That's what I wanted to ask y'all tonight, by the way. I had that in my head because I was going to go live last night. And this is the question he asked that I wanted to ask the chat. Is this the perfect crime? That's what I want to know. And I wanted to give my opinion on it as well. I think it is. I honestly am starting to be convinced that it is. Only simply because, and that's not the question, by the way. The question is, what mistakes did he make? What mistakes did he really make? That's a fact. That's a fact. What mistake did he really make? We're not certain that the guy, the perp that's in the video, is our guy. But in reality, for real, seriously, what mistakes did he really make? So far, I don't think that we've developed any real mistakes that are going to lead us up to finding this guy. Once this genealogy goes through, And if we're not able to bottle something up from this genealogy, because I think this genealogy is going to be us being back to square one again. And I wonder how the world's going to feel then. I think if this genealogy doesn't go through, I think everyone is going to be convinced that this was the perfect crime. And we're just never going to find her. I was going to say also, I do Instacart. And I know I've mentioned this before. I do a lot of Instacart after I get off of work. And I always ask almost everybody how they feel about this investigation. And you know what everyone normally says? They normally say, I think she's dead. I think she's no longer here. And I don't think we're ever going to find her. That's what they say. A majority of people think that Nancy's no longer here and we're never going to find her.
Or were mistakes made? Let's bring in some guests to help us out here. Joining me, former NYPD officer, retired Nassau County Lieutenant and Commanding Officer Mike Gould, and retired police officer after 2 decades, Dr. Mike McCutcheon. All right, Mike Gould, I'll begin with you. What mistakes do you believe the abductor made here?
Well, Vinny, thus far, he hasn't made any mistakes because he's not apprehended. He's not a person of interest as far as we know. I'm hoping deeply that law enforcement is withholding things and they know more than the sheriff, who I've been heavily critical of from the very beginning, of giving ambiguous and conflict.
Taffy says what mistakes are being covered up. Man, what a good question. What a good question. And I question that as well because, like I said, this is something that isn't right. Something's not right here. I don't know. Something's just not right. I feel like we've been given the runaround. At this point, we've been given the runaround. And a lot of people are I know a lot of people are going to say, well, we still got 30,000 something more leads to go through. Eventually they're going to, why aren't they scavenging through those leads and trying to find the ones that seem like they're the most logical pertaining to whatever's going on right now? And I think we got enough agents, to where we can get through those tips that we have relatively quickly. We should be close to done by now, as far as the tips that we've gotten. I don't think it'll be that difficult to narrow it down amongst all of the people we have in the department, as well as the FBI. So from the detectives to the FBI, and from last time I checked, there was 5 people working on this case. And they went to a place out in Phoenix. And I guess, obviously in Phoenix, we have more resources there. So, I don't know.
Information and pouring the fire, pouring fuel on the fire of conspiracy theories. So right now, all leads have to be done. But we can't chase shadows. We can't go to, we looked at this glove that resembled the glove on the video. We spent 3 days analyzing it. And for that to be credible, it just wasn't. It turned out not to be. So right now, there is no mistakes. Will there be? This is not a cold case by any stretch of the imagination. And it will be solved, in my opinion.
Mike, is what you're saying that the abductor may do something from this point forward that could get him
No, I think
caught?
Investigators will do something. Investigators from this point forward will come up with evidence, and there's thousands of bits of evidence that's still. So again, it's not a cold case. They have thousands of bits of evidence. But
see what I'm saying? 1,000. Because he thinks the same. What I just said right now, 1,000, because there's thousands and thousands of tips. As far as evidence, he thinks that they're going to figure this thing out. What do they really have to figure this out? And if you ask me statistically, as far as from what I've discovered, as far as the tips that have been thrown out, I would say in general people are dumb. People are turning in unnecessary things that don't even need to be turned in, just trying to help out. But they're prolonging this because they're giving the investigators more things to look at that aren't even they're not even logical pertaining to this situation. They don't even make sense. There's just certain things that aren't going to lead us up to this suspect that's just common sense, but people call in the most craziest things. People have the most crazy ironic theories. Like people thinking that this is a woman in this video with the perp, for crying out loud. People are literally dumb. And I just can't imagine the amount of dumb tips that they've gotten. I just think it's a way to comfort us and make us feel good at the end of the day, because they're doing things like telling the family they're cleared, yet their car's still being investigated. How are you cleared and your car's still being investigated? There's just stuff that's just not making any sense to me. It's not.
Again, historically, crimes of this nature aren't solved in 5 weeks. We were just led down, again, back to the sheriff. He never controlled his narrative on this case, so he allowed conspirators. There's conspiracy theories now that he did it. That's how crazy this has become.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those.
I've
seen those, Mike.
They have the people talking too much on these podcasts. Guess where do I send it? I don't know. I don't know what you. Maybe he's talking to somebody in chat.
All right, Dr. Mike McCutcheon, from your perspective, what mistakes did the abductor make here?
I agree with Mike that, after 20 years, I would think I would be able to pick this apart, but there's not much to pick apart because we haven't caught anybody and we don't have a person of interest. The only error that I could see at this point is by not preparing for the camera. And think of it, as you said, with with Brian's case, where he left that sheath behind. In this case, if we didn't have this video that's playing where he walks up to the camera with his glove on, we'd have zero things to put out to the public.
I don't really have an email besides my personal email that I could really send you. You're trying to send a video? Are you able to post a link in the chat? I don't have any robots that'll ban you or anything if you want to post a link in the chat. It's not letting you put the link in the chat. Let me see. I guess there's an email I could probably give you that you could send it to if I'm logged in on that email on this.
So that would be his only mistake, but I can't really point out many mistakes because I don't know what they're going to be able to find in order to catch or identify somebody. So the only mistake here is that video that's playing where they captured a person on camera. Besides that, there's very little at this point until we know what the analysis of the evidence that's collected or hasn't been tested. And it's, as Mike said, it's just going to come down to police work and knocking on doors and pulling that thread until you find that connection to Nancy and who was there for or why they were there.
Now, Mike Gould, on that video, we can identify the type, the make of the backpack that he's wearing. Some of the clothing, there's been discussions. The mask, there's been some discussions. Mask seems similar to some other ones that are out there, but the backpack specifically, if in fact he purchased the backpack himself,
everybody should know my name anyways.
That'd be a huge mistake.
Yeah, the backpack, frankly, I did think was a significant part of evidence or mistake, if you will.
I think the backpack was one of the first initial leads that we all thought we really had that was going to lead us up to this guy. But it didn't. It didn't help at all. Because one of the biggest things that was talked about in the beginning of this investigation was the fact that they were going to be able to go from Walmart to Walmart and hopefully find someone purchasing this, this Ozark backpack or Trail Ozark backpack. And then all of a sudden it was just like we totally kind of forgot about it, or we just weren't talking about it much anymore. It's like we all forgot. We all forgot that they were supposed to be investigating a bunch of Walmarts, and obviously I think we just came to another dead end. That was like one of our first dead ends. And that was, them not discovering anyone purchasing this bag. So then it shifted to, now, he may have bought it secondhand. It's just, I feel like we've just been given the runaround here. And that may be an old backpack, you know. In the beginning, a lot of people thought whatever he has on in the video is new. You can't even tell if his clothes are new or not. You really can't. Not enough DNA according to the FBI, Ollie says. Big welcome to Ollie, by the way. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so either. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling like we're going to get our guy. And I just feel like this guy has had way too much time. Way too much time. You know, and I feel like he's been following this thing just like we have. This is the biggest investigation in all of America right now. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I'm almost wondering why that reward hasn't gone up yet, just because I feel like it, you know, within that first couple of weeks, the reward went up like 2-3 times. So maybe we need to up the reward, and maybe that'll change things, and maybe we'll actually get, you know, our suspect. Maybe he'll bite this time if we maybe add another $1 million.
Well, because that can be pretty well identifiable. They can track it through lot numbers and where it was purchased, et cetera. But everything else, Vinny, you know, he's described as a person 5'9" to 5'10", medium build. That's half the male population in the United States. So is that a significant lead? There's nothing else except the backpack, which I think, and they may be working on. Again, I have faith in the FBI and the investigators of following through on this. It's just today the sheriff announced they're not using cadaver dogs to search for it. This blows my mind. It actually infuriates me. I don't understand the logic behind it. But yeah, thus far, no mistakes.
Dr. Mike McCutcheon, are you surprised that the backpack has not led to something yet?
No. Whether it was a happy accident or whether it was intentional, using a backpack like that is so common. It's not like it is a unique backpack or a very expensive backpack, something where you can really track it. If you're using I'll say a generic brand, a backpack from Walmart, where there's thousands and thousands, and I don't know how many, it could be 1 million sold, it's much more difficult to track than if it was a high-end backpack that, you know, 500 are sold because they're really expensive. So as a happy accident, they may have unintentionally made it more difficult.
Hold on, give me 1 second. Yo, is this, how long ago was this, who's that? YG. Says, I think he wants me to watch a video, but I'm not too sure what her email is sent. If you're referring to me getting an email, I'm just letting you know I haven't got an email yet.
To track, just because there's so many out there. How many have they sold in Arizona that particular week? Could be, you know, in the hundreds or thousands. So I don't think that it's as significant as if it were something that were more easily identifiable, like OJ's Bruno Mali shoes.
And that was until the civil trial that they were able to put the pieces together on that. But if they had that for the first case, maybe it makes it different. Maybe it doesn't make a difference.
Are you talking about the heist?
Mike Gould, does your gut tell you that this is a local
I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Suspect or group of suspects here? Or do you think it's possible that they came from out of town, like out of the area, and somehow targeted Nancy, but came from the outside to do that?
Yeah, so I hate to speculate on something like that because that's a whole wide band of possibilities. But I will stick with my prediction from the very beginning, which sadly I feel that Nancy's life was taken very early on, if not within. She never left the house alive. That's my prediction, and her body will be recovered within a reasonable distance, and that's based on history. That's not my psychic predictions. And the body will be recovered somewhere within, maybe 5 miles of the crime scene.
Dr. Mike McCutcheon, do you think
Wow.
it'll be...
And I think I hear that too. I think a lot of people think that she's somewhere close. If she's around, she's somewhere close. You know, I'm that's one of my theories, I guess, because I think we all have several different theories. We don't know what to think. A lot of us don't know what to think anymore. I don't think we ever did know what to think. You know, and they say that it's, you know, something that's really simple, but it's one of those things where so many things have happened. We all easily overthink it. It's amazing the way the mind works. You know, it's amazing what you can do to the mind. You know, just basically just seeing everything that develops in an investigation that might just really be simple.
Greeted
I think
by
you're
a
talking.
burglary.
I think he wants me to watch this video with. I think a guy got. I think I'm assuming it was a burglary in the neighborhood. That's what I just heard just a second ago. We'll check it out. We'll check it out.
Foothills man is now sharing the video of people breaking into his home while he was out of town.
13 News reporter J.D. Wallace is live where it happened with the video and the cameras that captured it. J.D.
Brooke, this house is surrounded with these cameras, and while you're about to see what happened, you'll also see what appears to be a delivery attempt before this house was broken into. What looks like a delivery earlier this month.
I saw this video. Okay, so is this these guys go in the house, and I think the children for the most part live, but is it the dad, or I can't remember exactly. They end up dead, right? The wife and the dad, I think, end up dead. These guys come in like ski masks. You feel like this might be related?
Month was unexpected.
And then she just took off. But we were not expecting any Amazon, and her shirt says
Oh, no,
Amazon.
this is not the one. I'm thinking of something
But we
else.
didn't pay much
This isn't it. No, this is not the one. This is something different. Okay.
attention to it. So, no, she took off. You know.
And the person left with the envelope. The same person appears Saturday while Natan Ben Shabbat and his wife were out of town, and she leaves with the box. About 45 minutes
And then
later,
leaves with the
other
box? Are you
cameras on the
stupid?
house record an SUV drive up, a man get out, walk around the back, and meet two men who appear to have walked in from the nearby wash, and they break the glass to enter the house. Ben Shabbat says the men pepper sprayed his pit bull, Mika, and stole the safe.
The recovery of the goods that were in the safe, that's not the issue. The issue is that why not doing it again before they catch us? Why not do it again? And the same way they did it to us, they can do it to anybody here.
Ben Shabbat is now repairing the damage, not just to his home, but to his family's sense of security and his own.
I put the gun now next to my pillow, just because, oh, there's a noise, okay, let's go check.
Bro, the
let's
gun
go
should
check.
have
Let's
been
go
next
check.
to the
And
pillow.
it's just not safe. It's going to take us time to go back to normal.
And Ben Shabbat says that he called Amazon to be told that their delivery people don't dress like that. Pima County.
That's scary. Yeah. Yeah. And it's that easy. And then he's saying that, you know, it's going to take us some time to go back to normal. I'm not even involved in the Nancy Guthrie case. You know, I'm involved because I'm talking about it all the time, but I wasn't there. That's not my family member, and I'm impacted from it highly. So I can only imagine, you know, how that dude feels. Whew. I mean, it said he's sleeping with the gun next to the pillow. I mean, he should have been doing that, but because you just never know nowadays. And everybody carries, but, you know, I think people feel too safe in the foothills. But honestly, guys, I'm gonna keep it real with you. If I was gonna go rob somewhere, you know, and I was that type of guy, I would go to the foothills. That's the richest place in the city. I'm from Tucson, Arizona. I know. Why would I go to the South Side? That's where I grew up. I'm not gonna find nothing there. I gotta know somebody that knows somebody to find something on the South Side. You know, the risk is much higher. The fact that I'll find something, you know, that's valuable in a home. Just saying. Why would you feel safe in the richest part of town? Why would you not think that at some point in time someone's, you know, not gonna come and rob? It could be your house. It's the foothills. Multi-million-dollar homes.
Easier.
You know, because they were saying at one point in time people kept their doors unlocked. Why would you do that? Doesn't sound like that's a smart idea. Lisa says she's talking about another video. We can watch some videos tonight, guys. If you guys want to speculate on some videos that you guys, I want to hear everybody's speculation. Change my theory, make me feel different. I don't want to feel this the way I've been feeling lately about this case. Because what I feel like at this point, I feel like this is going to be a dead end after dead end after dead end, and we're just not going to find Nancy. I just want to find Nancy, period, dead or alive. I just want to find this guy as well. I'm eager to find this guy. I really want this guy locked up. And it's very disappointing being in the city that I live in. Everything that's went on with the sheriff department has been embarrassing. And it's been a terrible representation of how police force work in this city. And that's only due to the sheriff department, because like I said, if Tucson Police Department had got on this probably would have been figured out within 48 hours, and I don't think they would have made that mistake. One thing for sure is all these searches from the YouTubers are doing nothing but giving perp ideas to put her if she is deceased. Correct. And I think that's the downfall with media. That's from Deanna, by the way. She said that. Yeah, I think that's one of the downfalls as well, just simply because we're giving both sides. We obviously want something. We want this guy to get caught, but we're also giving scenarios of things that we would do, to dispose of the body. I feel like it sounds like that's the hardest thing to do, but after, I think is it Kaufner? What's that famous lawyer, or not lawyer, I'm sorry, detective's name? Is it Kaufner or something like that? It's a woman. Well, she said that hiding a body is actually very easy. And I thought that was pretty interesting. I feel like that would be something that's highly difficult. I really don't think that I would hide a body easily, but I think that this guy's had enough time to go to Mexico by now. And I'm going to tell you right now, just like they're saying how easy it is to get into Mexico, it's true. That's how easy it is. I just went to Atlanta a couple months ago to get my daughter, and I went through several border checkpoints and state lines. And in state lines, you don't even see anybody. You just go through. But the border checkpoints was pretty much, hello, all right, bye. I almost wonder what gives these guys certain indications that you may have something in your vehicle, or, to do those, random traffic stops or inspections, not traffic stop, inspections that they do at the border. Because I don't know, it was just super odd to me. And even on the way back in, it was the same exact thing, the same thing. Even on the way back, the same way I got in, I could have had a body in my car going into Mexico. Easy. Even on the way back, it was the same thing. Because, Brian Ensign was saying that it's much harder getting out. No, it's not. No, it's not. It was the same exact thing. You saw it on this video. It was the same thing.
Which is more difficult, to track down the suspect if Nancy is alive or if Nancy is not alive?
Well, there's two answers to this. If they find where her remains are, that's potential for more evidence. So that would be something that more leads just from the evidence that's there. As I always say, having a living person, keeping that person alive, transporting that person is very difficult. And I think that is where it would be easier to track somebody if they're alive, because they have to take more precautions to keep that person quiet, to make sure that nobody sees that person. They have to maybe change behaviors. Yeah. So it could be either way. If they find the body and they have evidence to go on, that could be great. But hiding a person for a long period of time is difficult.
Yeah,
and I think everybody has their own theory on it. He says it's difficult. I think Coffin Daffer, or Is it is it Coffin Duffer? I think it's Coffin Duffer or something. Let's just say Jennifer. Thank you for that, Joanne. Yeah, she said that hiding a body was easy. This guy says it's not. So I guess everybody just has their own take on that. But this guy's had enough time. He's had enough time to figure out, and like I said, the help of the media is, obviously gonna give him ideas how to figure that out. But like I said, that first 48 hours was critical. Perp definitely had enough time to dig a grave by now, for sure. And you know what they say, 6 feet. And I think 6 feet would take me a long time, that's for sure. I don't even know if I could dig 6 feet in a day. I think I could, but that would be exhausting. With several other men, I think I could dig 6 feet within a couple hours, maybe. No, I'd say about I think it would take a good 4. I don't know. That's a good question, because at the graveyard they use a tractor and shovels. And I don't know how fast they do that. I think they do that pretty quick. But a lot of times when you go to a funeral or something, that grave is already dug. And it's a perfect square, too. It's crazy. But that's besides the point. But I think that would take 4 to 5 hours, depending on how many people are doing it. But you've got 6 men surrounded, by, a big old square, trying to dig 6 feet enough to fit a body in it. That might take 2-3 hours, I'd say. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Probably moved a few times. Yeah, I feel like she could have been moved a couple times. Yeah. Sometimes I don't feel like they took her right out of here. But then something also tells me that, they're just close. And she's been in the same spot that she's been in a refrigerator, in a freezer. I think Dad's Gone Live had made that comment, and I think she could be possibly in a freezer, for sure. And the reason being is because, and even in the fridge, guys, if she was frozen, the body would still, I believe the body would still stink at some point. I'm not sure. Does the body still stink? Does it decompose quicker when it's frozen?
And I'm following exactly what you're saying. It's perfect logic that it'll be easier to get the suspect if he has to keep Nancy alive and keep her hidden. It's easier to find him because it's more difficult for him to get around. However, if you found Nancy, that could lead to the suspect quicker.
Yeah, so it says, yes, a body will still stink after being frozen. Once it thaws, freezing halts the bacteria and chemical processes that cause decomposition. So, yeah, I guess it's saying if it was thawing, which means that it won't stink as long as it's frozen? Is that what I'm kind of getting? Upon thawing, these processes resume, and the decomposition odor will return. Extreme cold slows or halts decomposition and insects, which means the smell is temporarily suppressed. When a frozen body is removed from the cold, it will begin to decay, leading to the release of odor. That's interesting. Studies suggest that frozen samples can retain their odor profile, meaning the smell is not permanently eliminated, only paused. While frozen, the scent is less noticeable, but it becomes strong again shortly after thawing. I don't really understand that. So if it's not going to stink as long as I don't thaw it? That's interesting. Much slower if it's frozen for sure. Got that part. So, and that's the thing. If she's close, at some point in time, one of these neighbors are going to smell a foul odor, I believe. Wouldn't that odor travel? But that odor is not going to be strong enough. You know, they got to actually go in houses. It's not going to be strong enough for you to smell it next door if you live, what, her neighbors probably live like 200 steps away, 200 feet away from her. It's so gapped apart. Have you ever frozen meat? Yeah. So Joanne says still smells just slower. When Savannah didn't pay on that Monday, Perp walked Nancy out somewhere and shot her, is what I'm beginning to believe. I think Nancy was gone the same day they took her. And I think Nancy, if she wasn't killed right away, you know, and even if she wasn't killed right away, I think they killed her by accident. I mean, let me put it this way. I think even if their intent wasn't to kill her right away, I still think they did. And I think, you know, she's really fragile. And I think due to that fact, I don't think that she could withstand a whole beating. But you'd be surprised what people could sustain at their age. Another interesting theory as far as someone being, you know, thinking that she was taken out of the back of the house. Why would there be blood in the front if they went out the back? You know, so that's why I say that theory, as far as them taking her out the back, I think would be out. You know, and I think people say that could be possibly a nosebleed. No, there's no way that was a nosebleed. Just the way the droplets are to me, I don't see that being a nosebleed. And also, I feel like when you have a nosebleed, blood drips, but I don't think it would drip that much. She would have to be standing there for a long time and purposely trying to let her nose pretty much drip. Most of us naturally cover our nose, or, you know, I'm not seeing it. That being, coming from the nose. And then also a lot of people's blood in their nose tend to dry up relatively quickly. It doesn't really drip. And if it does, like I said, it wouldn't be that much blood. It's just too much blood.
Interesting.
Right.
Mike Gould, give me your confidence level of this case being solved. 0 to 10. 10, it will be solved. 0, never will be solved.
I'm at an 8. I usually stick with a comfortable 8 because it's been happened before. I mean, but it's not going to happen quickly. Somebody knows who did this, by the way. They know who did it. It's just a matter of what is going to compel them to share that information with law enforcement if they haven't already. So it's very unlikely that this is just a complete lone wolf, no family member, no friend, nobody knows. So I think on an 8.
How do you know for sure you know who did this? Come on now. How do you know for sure someone knows who did this? You know, I mean, I think they do. But I'm just saying, if this guy acted alone, I got to give him more credit, you know, because that's even smarter. If he acted alone, that's smart, because you're highly likely or more to get caught when you do crime, especially a high crime like this, with, you know, another person. So yeah. For sure.
A scale of 1 to 10, it will be resolved, but it could take many years. I'm working on a case from 25 years ago that I think will be resolved this year on 9/11 of a missing person that disappeared. And I'm very confident with new evidence, because DNA evidence is always evolving. It's always getting better. So what happens today, in 2 years from now, might be a completely different scientific analysis of this case.
All right, Mike Gould, always great to have you on. Thanks so much. Dr. Mike McCutcheon sticking around. Coming up next, how did Nancy Guthrie leave her house?
Woo, we just talked about that.
We love you, Mom. Stay strong.
We love you.
Worked hard all my life. I learned the secret to success is speaking in your authentic voice.
Why is he showing this? We don't
that court.
I'm sorry, it's copy to you. We reference missing person and a PTSD.
What's stopping them, by the way, guys? What do you think is stopping them from letting us hear that dispatch call? What's going to hurt this case? What's going to hurt this investigation if we were to hear that dispatch call? What's stopping us from hearing that? What's stopping them from releasing that to the public? We got the video of the perp. Come on, man. They got to give us something else.
820-5820, approximately Escalante. We reference Nancy, a white female, 84 years.
Why won't they say how the perp got inside? I don't know. I don't even know why they won't even say. Lost my thought there. I don't even know why they won't give us the timeline that we saw the perp.
Beach, 5C Mediumville,
in that video.
Iowa Blue, ring after 2200 hours. As of yesterday, Nancy has high blood pressure, pacemaker, and cardiac issues. And then regional 618.
Nancy Guthrie, 84 years old. We know that. We also know that there was blood found outside of the home. And a lot of questions, a lot of unanswered questions about what exactly happened inside the house. And is it one person? Is it more than one person? There's a lot of unanswered questions here. I want to bring back in Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas. Now, there's some reporting out there talking about an expert who's saying that they believe Nancy was
there's something weird about this now,
out of the house. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, and that reporting is coming because
out of the house, saying that they believe out there, talking about an expert who's saying that they believe Nancy was carried out of the house. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, and that reporting is coming because this expert has, insight on the pattern, how the blood looked outside on Nancy's front stoop. And let's take a look at some of that blood again. We see it here. This is on the front porch right outside Nancy's door. One thing we know about this blood is that the DNA matches Nancy's. It is hers. It's her blood. And we see, obviously, a high concentration of it right here on her front steps. Now, important to note that none of this...
You see, there's like a smudge right there. You see that smudge that we see right there? And that could be an indication that somebody stepped on that blood, maybe.
This blood was found inside the house, but we have this video from Fox News Digital, Vinny, and it shows blood in the gravel driveway. Here's going to pan away from the door here. Going to back up behind the steps or going towards the road here. You're going to see a few more drops there.
Oh, wow. Did you guys know this? I'm just learning this now, barely.
From Fox News
I think
Digital.
I heard that, but I've never seen the actual picture of that. That's interesting. So what do you think now? Do you think Nancy was carried out through the front?
Suggests that more of these droplets here obviously were found in the driveway going towards the road. So the front steps and the driveway, but not inside the house. Now, News Nation's Brian Inton spoke with an expert who gave us more insight on these blood patterns. This is from yahoo.com, quoting what was said to Brian. It says, retired FBI Special Agent Maureen O'Connell shared her thoughts on what the blood spatter pattern outside the home could mean. Quote, I doubt that she walked out because there were no voids, O'Connell said during an appearance on Brian Inton Investigates on Sunday, March 8th. So let's say
I think Nancy was gone. I think she got killed that night. I think she got killed in her home. Wow.
Pattern of the blood is concentrated.
That's even more blood. Now we got more blood than we even thought. What did the perp do? My goodness.
Digital suggests that more of these droplets here obviously were found in the driveway going towards the road. So the front steps and the driveway, but not inside the house. Now, News Nation's Brian Inton spoke with an expert who gave us more insight on these blood patterns. This is from yahoo.com, quoting what was said to Brian. It says, retired FBI Special Agent Maureen O'Connell shared her thoughts on what the blood spatter pattern outside the home could mean. Quote, I doubt that she walked out because there were no voids, O'Connell said during an appearance on Brian Inton Investigates on Sunday, March 8th. So let's say the pattern of the blood is concentrated here, but the sphere is this big. It's round. You would
So
have
a lot of people
void
haven't even seen
here
this.
from 1 foot or from another foot or from something. There don't appear to be any voids. The fact that there was no break in the blood spatter pattern suggests that Nancy, who's 84 years old, didn't walk out of her house on her own, according to O'Connell. And Vinny, what we also know about Nancy, aside from her old age, is that it was reported that, she couldn't walk more than 50 yards without having to stop. So physically, this kind of checks out.
No, that wouldn't make any sense pertaining to his logic. He said 50 yards. Do you not realize that from her house to the street is not a half of a football field? 50 yards is half of a football field. Come on, man. It's not rocket science. 50 yards is not that short of a distance. It's a pretty decent distance. She can walk around for a little while and then sit down. They're making it seem like she can't hardly walk at all. I do physical therapy. Someone with a cane is considered independent. If you're walking with a cane and you're in a nursing home and your goal through therapy is to get home and you're walking with a cane, you're about to get out of there soon. Therapy is going to discharge you and send you home because you're independent. Why are we acting like Nancy couldn't walk around? Like she was literally supposed to be in a wheelchair and she needed assistance walking. If you can walk 50 yards, you are independent and you do not need assistance walking. My goodness, it's not rocket science.
It could be consistent with what was happening. And does that mean one person? Does it mean more than one person? Brings us to the next question in our investigation. How did Nancy Guthrie leave her house? Joining me, private investigator, search and rescue pilot, ground searcher Steve Fisher, and still with us, retired police officer Dr. Mike McCutcheon. All right, Steve, what are your thoughts here on how she got out of that house?
So I kind of disagree, but I'm no expert in blood, spatter analysis. But, if
Chandler says, Nancy's neighbors, one of the Nancy neighbors said she was much more mobile than we're being told. Yeah, she got in the Uber car. You think she called the Uber driver and told the Uber driver to come help her get to the car? It's possible they do. They would help. Uber drivers help you with things, putting things in their car or whatnot, that, things that are heavy if you need help, perhaps. But I don't think so. I think she walked and got in that Uber car nice and slowly, like an old lady would, but, I don't think she has all that much trouble like we're led to believe as far as walking. What a story. I'm glad I watched this video because I've never learned that there was droplets on the walkway.
If she was being carried, and especially if she wasn't alive, immediately after death, the body goes into primary flaccidity. So all the muscles relax. And I just think if you were carrying somebody out, their limbs or wherever they're bleeding from would be swinging with you. And those look like somebody's stationary there, like they just came out that door and paused for whatever reason. You don't really see tails on the blood drops. So I think she could have come out under her own power, being forced out, not, but I think she may have been alive and under her own power. And I think the person might have been in front of her, and that's why we don't see any smear prints with the feet or anything.
Dr. Mike McCutcheon, what is the scene telling you about how Nancy may have been removed from that home?
Yeah, I agree, in part. So it's tough to tell with a blood stain if someone was carried or not, because blood is going to fall whether you are being carried or whether you're walking. So when the expert was saying that there may be a void, that's possible. Or if she's just stood there for a minute bleeding and it's hitting the pavement, if she stood up on her own power, that could form. Again,
Go back. We need to go back. Go back to that picture again. Look at the blood pattern, by the way. So look at where the blood starts. Let's pull this up real quick. Let me get my arrow out. One of my favorite tools to use. Let's look at this blood pattern, by the way. You see how it starts here and then it kind of goes left. So and even if we put the arrow there, you'll see the direction of the blood change as far as where they're walking. So if they're walking out the door, you turn that arrow around, obviously he would, we come out, where the door opens, that's either right or left. We never usually walk directly through the middle of a door because we got to close it, right? But it almost looks like to me, she was carried out. And like I said, I just described it a second ago. Her door, if you're facing Nancy's house, her door is facing diagonal where that arrow is. Just like that arrow is how her door faces. So it's facing not directly a north, south, or west. It's two. So her door would be facing northwest. So that's interesting. I think he obviously was carrying her out. There's no doubt about it in my mind. And I don't think she was conscious when she was carried out as well.
Her own power that could form. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean that she was carried. However, I do think that for someone with limited mobility, for her to be able to walk out on her own, and again, I'm just going by what has been reported about her limited mobility. So I think she may have been carried out because of that, not so much because of specifically from the blood stain.
Really?
It is interesting that what you can tell is there's a blood trail from there. Why did they pause there? Like that's what's an interesting thing. Something happened at that spot right there,
which indicates her being carried. She's not stopping and they're like regathering themselves so she could walk. You think an old lady's not gonna scream? By the way, an interesting point, knowing, growing up in the crazy neighborhood I grew up in, I grew up in a blood neighborhood, and there's been a lot of peer pressure growing up, as far as doing stuff crazy. Not like this, but as far as burglary goes, a lot of people will put people down with guns when they go in, Not only that, some burglars go to the extent that they will knock you out. So make no mistake, because a lot of people are making the theory that burglars are not harmful. They get in and they get out. No, there's burglars that will put you down. Every burglar is not the same. So I don't know why these people that are giving their theories are having this put in our head that we think burglars, normally, in general, they want to just, take the money and run. But there are a lot of burglars out there too that aren't afraid to harm the victim before they do what they got to do.
And the reason why they paused at that situation or that time frame is unclear, because the other one is a drip trail. That's very normal. So that's more curious to me. But I'm not sure she went out on her own, only because of her limited mobility. Is to me, but I'm not sure she went out on her own, only because of her limit. So that's more curious to me.
Yeah, that's interesting. The direction of those droplets, and then also when you see those droplets, they get lighter and lighter. Almost like if she's secured at one point, and they take notice to those blood droplets, and it's almost like he cared that she was dripping blood. It's almost like he didn't want her to drip too much blood. So at one point he kind of changed positions as far as how he may have been holding her coming out. Just seeing the way the blood gets lighter in that area. Let's see here. On the way out here in this area right there. And then obviously there's a couple more bigger droplets at that concrete area when they show that picture. I want to see that picture again.
But I'm not sure she went out on her own, only because of her limited mobility.
Yeah. Steve, the other part of this is we know that the camera was removed, right? Like it was there, the masked guy, the camera's there, and then it's removed and there's no video of Nancy exiting the house.
Carried out over the shoulder. I think he could have either cradled her like a baby and carried her out, or yeah, he had her over his shoulder. I think those are the only two ways that he could have carried her out.
So put that into the mix here in her removal from the home. What do you think is the dynamic? What is going on here?
Well, you know, both things could actually be true about being carried in her own power. She may have answered the door, and that's why we see the pause pattern there, and she gets kind of smacked right there, and then is taken. You probably would have seen a little bit, maybe more blood pooling, but I don't understand why. It's because I don't think they could have gone through that metal security door. I think they had to have gone through the back if she didn't answer the door. So I don't understand why he approached that camera in the first place if he cased this place out first. So it's very confusing. I could see them exiting through the front and then take the camera off from behind. Then you don't have this issue that he has of being seen. But the whole thing just doesn't make much sense. But although it's worked, so
yeah,
we haven't found him.
It has worked. Dr. Mike McCutcheon, how do you think the removal was done here? I do know that when you look at that driveway, it's one of those like horseshoe type of driveways where you can kind of circle in front of the house to the walkway to a certain extent. Do you think the car was pulled up and waiting and then the exit? Is it one guy pulling the car up? Is that why they got rid of the camera? Because you would have seen the car pulling up. The whole removing her from the house seems to be very involved to the point of not being detected at all here.
Yeah.
Yes, and I just thought of this while you're describing the last segment, and I was saying, well, why would they pause there? Like, what happened there? That could be very well the pause where they say, what are we going to do about this camera? And they say, well, wait a minute. Let me you stay here for a second. I got to take this camera, and whether they break it off or take it. But that could be the pause while they're removing.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to carry her all the way out to the street. It's a little bit of a stretch carrying a body out. And why would you? That would be kind of dumb. But I mean, based on him just getting away with for the amount of time that he's gotten away, I believe this guy is not dumb enough to carry a body out to the road. And that creates a higher risk of potentially someone maybe seeing you or you even being caught carrying a body out to the road versus you pulling up and nobody having no idea, and you look like, you're a family just coming home late. You never know. No one's going to suspect anything if you pull up in the driveway. Even on the road. But I think just the fact that they, there's been a lot of things that has proven this person is not dumb, far from dumb. There's been dumb things like the hoster. However, I think they've proven that, they're not that dumb. And I think if he didn't pull up in the driveway directly there, he would have pulled up near the garage because, there's that space to go back that you can pull up in as well as if you're going to drive into the garage. We've seen the sheriff sitting there several times. And, maybe I'll show a picture of the house in a second so we could kind of get a look. And also, I think there was up to 5 entry
that
points.
Camera is very possible. But yes, I do think that there's more than one person because, again, her limited mobility. And even if she was leaving on her own or not, if they were carrying her, you're not going to be able to do that for a long length of driveway. So there had to be a car that pulled up there. And if that person's in the house we saw on the camera, someone else had to be in the car to pull it up in the driveway where we see the drip trail end, that blood trail end.
Yep.
All right, Dr. Mike McCutcheon.
Wow. What a good point. What a good that was great speculation on his behalf, for sure. I like the way he said that, where the blood drip ends. And that's exactly where that car... Or I'm sorry. Yeah, that's exactly where that car would have pulled up. I got to screenshot that. We'll go back in a second where they showed that blood. Because I've never, ever seen that. Ever.
That was interesting. Let me go back to those droplets.
Driveway. Here's going to pan away from the door here. They're going to back up behind the steps or going towards the road here. You're going to see a few more drops there. Reporting from Fox News Digital suggests that more of these droplets here obviously were found in the driveway going towards the road. So the front steps and the driveway, but not inside the house. Not in the driveway.
And then I also
behind the steps, travel driveway.
I'm also trying to see where that ends at exactly.
From the door here, they're
it's
going to
a
back
close
up.
up.
Behind the steps or going towards the road here. You're going to see a few more drops there.
And you know it's obviously her door because they're starting from Nancy's door, and we all know what Nancy's door looks like. So it's not like somebody just gave us a false picture. We all know what that front door looks
blood
like.
in the gravel driveway. Here's going to pan away from the door here. They're going to back up behind the steps or going towards the road here. You're going to see a few more drops there.
Yeah, that's almost to the driveway. And it rained recently, so we know those aren't going to be there anymore. Let me screenshot this. It's a really good picture. It's not the clear. It's not the clearest picture, but it's a good picture. Wow.
Abby, thank you so much. Steve Fisher's going to stick around. Still to come, was the abductor previously at Nancy Guthrie's house?
Deanna says, if I were the neighbor, I would welcome the YouTubers being there. I would feel safer. Most definitely, for sure. I agree. Yeah. Justice says, I haven't seen that before. A lot of people in the chat, pretty much almost everyone's that, well, not everybody, but some people said they haven't seen those droplets yet. Me neither. That was crazy.
Leave.
You know, since JLR has been there the most amongst a lot of these, you know, YouTubers and you know, just media in general. I would like to know if he discovered that at all, you know, because a lot of people are sending him updates and information. I'm almost wondering if he saw those droplets where we just saw them. Deanna says if he punched her inconspicuous, then yes. Oh, and he said unconscious? I think he said unconscious. If he punched her unconscious, then yes, yes, he carried her. But if not, she walked at gunpoint. That's possible. I think that's highly possible, her walking up at gunpoint. But I guess that's a question we would have to ask somebody in the Guthrie family, because they only know their mother more than anyone else. And that would be my question as well, whether or not Nancy would fight. Or would she be somebody in a situation like that that's willing? But because of her age, I feel like she would have put up a fight. You know, I hate to say it because it sounds terrible, but I feel like once people get older, you know, we come to realization that, you know, the less we feel like we have to lose. But I could be incorrect.
Voluntarily. Blood confirmed to be hers was found outside. Then came the twist. Surveillance video captured a masked figure on her porch during the night, reportedly carrying a backpack and what appeared to be a gun.
The Great One says, I think it might have been when Ensign went up to the door. From what I heard, though, Brian Ensign didn't record that part. Oh, I see where it's at now. That's a really good picture. So that would mean, I don't know if I have my arrow up. Where's my arrow? Like disappeared. Why is this picture up? That's a really good picture right there. So that would mean that it would have to be somewhere about here in this general area right there where we saw that blood. A little further back. It looks like it was just before the steps. So I would say possibly about right there.
Yet still, no suspect has been named, no proof of life released, and the nation watches, waiting for the next break. And we're still waiting. And still.
Question: why do you think these guys left? Like, why do you think most of the media left? You know, do you really feel like it was because the media, because Nanos had these people come through and make the street a one way, and then later we discovered that, if you would park on the side of the road, then you'd be fined $250, and I don't even know if that's legal for them to put that in place like that, and obviously we know it's going to be temporary because it has everything to do with Nancy, but I think he did that to help the neighborhood, and I feel like these people should have went with it. They should have went through with it. They should have been okay with it because, like someone just said in the chat, I would feel safer with the YouTubers being at my house and in my neighborhood 24/7. Knowing that this just happened, obviously these people want to just go back to being comfortable and act like nothing ever happened. And they're not really coming to realization what just really happened and how serious this is. Because why would you want the media to leave? But my question would be, why did most of the media leave? Why did they, do a lot of these guys in the media world think that this is just pretty much at a dead end? Like they're just not going to we're not going to find Nancy. We're not going to find the suspect.
Waiting. But there have been different points in this investigation when law enforcement has said something, or we've come across a piece of evidence or a new lead or a new video, when all of a sudden there was a lot of interest. Let's bring back in Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas. Cody, earlier in this investigation, law enforcement was asking people about January 11th. And I thought that was really interesting that they picked that very specific day. What do we know about that date?
Yeah, it was a day that law enforcement had a strong focus on very early on in the investigation. And in fact, law enforcement...
Lisa says the family didn't want that. You don't think the family wanted the media attention at all? Just in front of their home?
Was specifically requesting any available video footage from that day. The Pima County Sheriff's Department put out this statement back then. They say, quote, investigators are requesting all video footage that includes vehicles, vehicle traffic, people or pedestrians, and anything neighbors deem out of the ordinary or important to our investigation from January 1st, 2026 to February 2nd, 2026. An alert was just sent via Neighbors app to users within a 2-mile radius of Nancy Guthrie's residence near East Skyline Drive and North Campbell Avenue. And then this reporting here is from TMZ. They say, quote, the authorities specifically want to view video from January 11th between 9 p.m. and midnight and from January 31st between 9:30 a.m. and 11 a.m. So what's the whole deal about this January 11th? Well, a woman in the neighborhood spoke to News Nation about that day specifically. She told them, quote, a neighbor of missing 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie told News Nation she saw a suspicious man in the area weeks before Guthrie's disappearance. The neighbor said she saw a man acting strangely, heading toward Guthrie's home sometime around January 11th, a date for which the FBI is seeking doorbell camera footage from neighbors. I'm getting ready.
Let's talk about that. Let's just go ahead and dive into that, and let's talk about that, because that's one thing I wanted to talk about before we run out of time here, because it's getting super late for me, and I gotta work in the morning, but that's nothing, or in a few hours rather. Let's talk about that. Brian Enton, the other day, he went to a neighbor's home and he spoke with a lady who had a lot to say, actually, some pretty interesting things to really kind of think about as well. And let's watch that video, because I thought it was kind of weird that we learned that there was someone in the neighborhood, a suspicious person in the neighborhood, 37 days later.
appreciate it. Appreciate all of your support.
Not only that, there was an FBI that came by that they didn't know was a real FBI.
For Nancy
Just hear this.
Can't believe
And
it's
I
now
know you
been,
guys probably have
37
watched this
days.
video before.
A really interesting episode,
37 days
today.
in.
One of the neighbors out here who I've gotten to know, who's actually the neighbor who lets us park in her driveway ever since there were those restrictions about parking, has a few really interesting stories to tell in relation to everything going on. First of all, she's lived in this neighborhood for decades. She's known Nancy for decades. But she also saw something very interesting around the time of January 11th, which is a date that keeps on coming up. We know that the FBI has been asking neighbors for video from around January 11th. And she saw something that she found to be very, very suspicious near Nancy's house, which is...
To be honest, I normally don't watch Brian Intim, but, you know, he's cool. He's pretty good at what he does, and, you know, I just haven't really watched him on this channel, really. But shout out Brian Intim, by the way, man. He's been doing a great job, and he's been here for pretty much as long as JLR has.
Going to describe in this episode. Also, something I had not heard about before until today, which is really shocking. Her sister also lives in this neighborhood, just a couple of blocks away, and says that
I think he was sick.
The FBI showed up to her house a couple of days after Nancy went missing, wanted to come inside, wanted to look in her garage, look around the house, then left. She thought that something was suspicious about it, like just one of the so-called agents just didn't look quite right. So she called authorities, come to find out the sheriff's department and more FBI come to her house.
These guys really got to get their stuff together, guys. They really do. The fact that they didn't even know that there was an FBI agent knocking at a lady's door, you know, because we obviously think that this should all be documented, right? I mean, it's the FBI. I mean, I think they should be well off, you know, well more sophisticated than a normal police officer. Come on now.
They're like, that actually was not the FBI. Those were like fake law enforcement people. And they do this whole investigation. They start fingerprinting in her house. This is all right in this neighborhood. I can't believe I hadn't heard about this until today. So they're fingerprinting in her house. They take her DNA for whatever reason. And they basically like just start making her whole house into a crime scene, trying to figure this out. Then hours later, they say, oh wait, we checked and those actually were real FBI. We were wrong.
Like, how does
they
that
weren't
happen?
fake FBI. They were real FBI. We just weren't aware they were here. But the point is, apparently things were very, very disorganized early on between the locals and the FBI, which is something we were reporting on. But that story, you're going to hear her describe that story and really explain that whole story in this episode. But I just kind of wanted to give you a preview because this is the first that I'm hearing about that. So I'm going to get...
Letting us park in your driveway when we got moved out. That was very nice of you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What has it been like the last, I guess, 30 plus days?
It's been crazy and sad and, kind of scary for a lot of the people that live around here because, normally this
the police knew. That's why they said January 11th. Guys, I'm going to be honest here because I like to keep it real. I really don't like this lady. I don't. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I'm sorry, and I hope she's not in the stream right now. I don't have that many people tuned in. I'm sorry. I just something ain't right. And I think she lied about knowing Nancy because she said she knew Nancy when I really think she really meant she knew of Nancy. I don't think this lady really knows Nancy, but she claimed that she did.
Quiet, sleepy neighborhood. So we don't have a lot of people here or incidences of anything.
So you knew Nancy?
Yes, so I'd met Nancy numerous times in the neighborhood from just being here. And I also went to high school with her kids. And so a very good friend of mine, super close with Nancy, and we used to walk in the neighborhood, and she would be at parties and things like that. So yes.
She seems like a wonderful woman.
Lovely lady. Yeah, terribly lovely lady. Yeah.
Did people know that she was Savannah's mom?
I don't know. It was never really talked about. She was just Nancy, so nobody around here really thought anything of it, or at least we never discussed it.
Did you know?
Oh yeah.
Kind of late in the saga. Yeah, I didn't get on the other day, so it's okay. I still wanted to talk about this because I thought it was really interesting, but I'm a little late to show this video on
No, I've known
you're
that.
a friend.
For,
Yeah.
I've known that for a long time. I knew
Yeah.
that Nancy lived there. Yeah.
But people on the outside didn't seem
Oh,
to know,
I think she
really.
meant like as
Not
far as
anybody-
this being the, you know, us discovering this. Yeah, very late. This is really odd.
That I ever talked to about it. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Did you know Savannah at all? Or?
And make no mistake, guys, if she knew exactly where to go if she wanted to put this out there. If she wanted to send a message and let everyone know that this something weird was going on, we all know the entire world just in Tucson, Arizona alone knows that JLR has been probably the biggest thing behind this thing as far as anyone, you know, with the most attention pertaining to views and, you know, an audience on YouTube. Anyone and everyone has probably, you know, run by JLR when, you know, this whole thing started. That was the person that everyone watched the most, if not everyone at the same time, when this thing all started. So if she wanted to put the message out there that this was going on, she could have easily went down there and talked to JLR.
I did a bit in high school, but not super well since, you know, high school. Because I'm considerably older than, well, not considerably, but I'm about 3 or 4 years older than Savannah. I knew her brother better.
Was there anything strange in the neighborhood you noticed, like before this happened?
I did. 2 weeks before, about 2 weeks before, it was there. I have a picture window in my bathroom, and I see all the people walking by in the mornings. And
Holly says she
I
thinks
noticed
Nanos
this
and
strange guy
Tommaso
with his hat
are gambling buddies. Ooh, that's a good theory. If they are, that would be really crazy and really weird.
Really low. He was kind of hunched over, not in, you know, walking or hiking gear. He was dressed in kind of street clothing. So I thought that was weird because that's not normal.
And it stood out to you?
Oh yeah, I said something to my husband and my mother. So yeah.
And how often has something like that happened where it stood out to you enough to say something?
Not often at all. I see the same people. They're people I know, my friends. Yeah, so no. I think once, maybe 12 years ago, I saw a strange guy.
Did you tell the police?
I did. I told the FBI the day after they came here, and I discussed that with them. So this is my window that I'm getting ready in the morning, and I saw him out there. So I couldn't make out his face, although his hat was way down, and I think I can open up this one too.
Okay.
See, since we have all this stuff going on, and we have to have it all fixed. So this one is usually open as well.
So
So
apparently
you've got
she
a
saw a
pretty good view.
suspicious
So Nancy's
guy.
is up that way.
Yeah.
Sounds like it was around January
And
11th.
so you've got a pretty good view, and he was
The
walking
time
down the
that-
road, and I always
So
see
I believe that they think this is why investigators were asking about the January 11th day. And that was because there was that suspect that, you know, we saw in the video, the perp with the backpack missing, and it appeared like he had on different shoes. So that's the reason why they were going around, you know, and asking questions. So they say. I think that's what a lot of people are saying. So I don't know, though. I don't know if this is why. So don't quote me on it.
people, and I think, oh, that's my friend Nara, or that's this person or that person. And I saw him, and I was like, oh, that guy doesn't fit. So.
And this was sometime around January 11th.
Yes, yes. So my birthday's January 8th. That's
Okay.
why I remember so well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And describe him again?
Well, he was in kind of street clothes, not shoes that you'd walk in, and he had a baseball hat really low, and he was kind of hunched over, and he was kind of looking around, and he just didn't fit. And he wasn't going terribly quickly like a normal person that's getting
I
exercise.
like the way Brian Intet asked her again just to see if her story would change. Did you catch that?
He was kind of going slowly, and when he walked by this street, he really took a long look at it. I noticed that.
Her story wasn't the same the first time. I want to go back because I want to hear her story. What her story was initially.
So this is my window that I'm getting ready. And I also went to high school with her kids. I've known that for, I've known that for.
Was there anything strange in the neighborhood you noticed, like before this happened?
I did. 2 weeks before, about 2 weeks before, it was there. I have a picture window in my bathroom, and I see all the people walking by in the mornings, and I noticed this strange guy with his hat down really low.
Okay,
he was kind of hunched over, not in walking or hiking gear. He was dressed in kind of street clothing.
Okay,
story's
accurate, guys. Story's accurate.
And it stood out to you?
Oh, yeah. I said
those
people to be super freaked out by that. But I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like when the FBI came?
You know, they were young and just listening and asking a couple of questions and wanted to know if our Ring camera worked.
Her descriptions
and it
sucked. They
didn't
really
at that time, unfortunately. I don't know if it would have gotten any of the road because our house is so set back. So I don't know if we would have been much help, but just questions like that.
It's interesting, like no one's.
They actually didn't get cameras till after, Joanne.
Such a safe neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like half the time we used to not lock our doors. We do now. Now we have cameras and things like that. But no, yeah, I've never even had a package stolen. Ever in 23 years. So
it really is one of those, because I heard some people say, oh yeah, it's like one of those places you wouldn't lock your doors, but you really didn't.
Yeah, we really didn't. Yeah, we really didn't. I mean, I had 3 teenagers wandering around here, and yeah, I'd come home and the back door would be wide open. I'm like, who's that? So yeah, never a problem, ever.
Do you, Maple's getting kind of anxious here.
Yeah.
Maple, she's so funny. Do you have any, you always walk her, so we all know her. Do you have any I mean, are people, do they feel like this is an inside job? Or?
Did you hear Brian Inton right now? He says that she always walks the dog, so we all know the dog, which means that he's familiar with seeing this lady. So he and this lady have spoken before. Why did this lady wait 38, 37 days to say something about this if this happened in the beginning when this all started around February 11th? What? What took so long?
There's a sense from some that this is someone maybe even like in the neighborhood.
There's actually at a dinner last night, there was a discussion about it. It's people that live in this neighborhood, and we're all just throwing things around. Like some people are like, it's for sure a Savannah connection. Some people are like, that guy in the video seemed so lackadaisical that maybe it's a, robbery gone bad. I mean, yeah, I have my theories, but they change. Because then when you start thinking about stuff, you're like, So I hope we find her and find out.
Are you surprised it's taken this long?
No, because I think someone brought to my attention that a lot of these cases take 30 plus days.
Yep.
So yeah, so I'm not surprised. I was not here the night she was taken, but I arrived home the next morning, and then when we found out she was missing, we all went out looking for her. So I thought we would find her, honestly.
Like it was just some kind of not that serious of a situation.
No,
Yeah.
like she had fallen or just something, yeah.
Were you just out of town that weekend, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Phoenix. I got home on Sunday morning from, my daughter Harper lives in Phoenix.
Okay.
So, yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Probably not.
That must have been, like, what were you thinking when you heard about this?
I was shocked. My elderly mother lives a street away, so I was like, oh my gosh, like this is terrifying, and poor Nancy. And yeah, so we just all kind of went out on foot. We all went driving around. I asked the sheriff a few questions, and he's like, yep, we already did that.
I don't know how you guys feel how people are in a really nice neighborhood, but like when I'm going through this neighborhood in the foothills, just to kind of give you a vibe of how the neighborhood is, people are normally really smiley, and they wave at everybody. So even if they don't know you, it's that type of neighborhood where, it's how people are in rich neighborhoods. They wave. They just wave at you. So even if this guy was suspicious with his hat down, I don't know. I feel like she probably still would have waved anyways. I don't know. But maybe she was weirded out and she just, kind of just stayed there staring at the guy for whatever reason, I guess. I don't know. But normally in this neighborhood, everyone does just kind of wave at you. and people oftenly walk dogs in this neighborhood.
I'm like, okay, good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Your mom lives close?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my sister.
Okay. Are you...
Yeah, that dog's
I
something
just
else.
keep thinking about my mom throughout this whole thing. Like, I think a lot of people are connecting to it because a lot of people have older parents, and you just kind of worry. Maple, come here, Maple, come up, Maple, Maple, come up.
Come up.
I think a lot of people
That was hilarious.
think about their parents.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
of
And you,
course.
Nancy was 84, and some people are like, oh, why would an 84-year-old woman be living alone? But
Oh, my mom's 87 and lives alone.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to stay in your own home and live your life out. And I mean, I was surprised she didn't have an alarm, but again, I'm kind of not too, right? So, I don't know.
do most people have alarms?
I don't know. We do, but I believe so. I mean, the people kind of my age or younger, I believe they do, yes.
And so how many, did the FBI just come here once?
No, they came quite a few times. Yes. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh, what's Matt doing?
And what were there different questions?
When they spoke to me, they spoke to Matt a few times too. There was definitely different questions. And then we have friends that kind of live in the back of us. So they would be at our house and then go to the friend's house.
Brian Inton looks like he got darker out here in Arizona. Yeah, he's definitely not used to the Arizona life. It's hot out here, but I'm used to it.
Say, hey, do you know those people? Are they nice? Do you trust them? And they were like, yeah. They're nice people. So yeah, it was interesting. But the questions were pretty normal. They did ask me about January 11th.
Yeah.
And that was about the time I saw the strange guy. So that all kind of connected with me.
What was the date? Do you know the date you saw the strange guy?
You know, it was around the 10th, 11th, or 12th, for sure. Yes.
That's so interesting that it was that same time.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't really know the significance of January 11th besides they keep asking a lot of the neighbors about it. I wonder if that first surveillance photo, remember there's the two photos?
Yeah.
That one might be from January 11th.
It could have been, yeah. I mean, that's probably why it's so significant, yeah.
Did they say anything about January 11th? Like why they were asking you about that?
No, they didn't. I tried to get information out of them. But they wouldn't give me any.
Was there anything else they asked you that was like kind of stood out to you?
You know, no. No, I was kind of more giving them information about the neighborhood because there's an abandoned house at the end of the street and somebody had just moved out next to us and I thought that was kind of weird because they had lived there a long time as well.
Really think
so I
this
think
lady
I
really knew
probably
Nancy.
spoke more than I should have.
No. Are there like, I mean, I don't want to judge anybody, but are there people in the neighborhood that you've been like concerned about in the past or?
Well,
See, this was the most interesting question of the interview. And you can tell already she doesn't want to say something that may fall back on her or make her neighbors just no longer like her anymore. But this was probably the most interesting question. I think Brian Intent wanted to ask other questions, but he kind of held back from it.
Not really. I mean, I kind of know the walkers, and definitely around the holidays, you'll see the people who are winter visitors and things like that. So no, nobody that I've ever run into that I thought was odd. No.
No one like really creepy or anything.
If you notice in the beginning of the video, Brian Intent's walking, and he looks like he's walking a good little distance. So I don't know. I want to say this lady might even live a whole nother block down from Nancy. I don't think it's all that close.
I don't know. No.
Not really, no.
I don't know if I want to say that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Because I don't want them to like.
Yeah. Well, and you don't have to give the name. I just.
You hear that? Yeah, she said. She said, I don't want them to like freak out on me.
Hey, it's okay.
This lady has some suspicions of her neighbors that she doesn't want to disclose any of that information. I can only imagine what she suspects of some of her neighbors.
I want them to like.
Yeah. And you don't or anything.
I kind of know the walker winter visitors and things like that. So no, nobody that I've ever run into that I thought was odd. No.
No one like really creepy or anything.
And the sad part is like she lied initially, and then she's like, you know what, maybe I should just tell the truth.
I don't know. No.
Not really, no.
I don't know if I want to say that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No, it's okay. It's
Because
okay.
I don't want them to like.
Yeah. And you don't have to give the name. I just didn't know if.
I think there's a lot of
But
weird people.
Brian
that live
even
in this
wants to.
neighborhood.
Brian really wants to know. He didn't even finish his question. He's like, just say it. Just say it.
Just didn't know if,
I think there's a lot of weird people
Yeah.
that live in this neighborhood.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
have people been telling the FBI about that, you think? Like kind of telling them who they think?
Yes, I think so. Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Especially my neighbor. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your neighbor has?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Something that stood out to them? Or?
Yeah, because he walks his little dogs every day and was telling me actually yesterday about all the different things that he noticed. Yeah.
Wow. So then tell us who Brian Intit. Brian, you got to know something, bro. Please tell me you asked this lady after the interview and the cameras went off. He didn't ask this lady what she saw? Bro, that could have been an incredible lead. Did he not come back on and say whether or not he asked this lady like what her neighbor said that might have been suspicious to them? Hell, I mean, depending on how far this lady lives down, she may even have a neighbor that may have Nancy in there. You know, a lot of people believe she's in the neighborhood, so she could be, you know, somewhere, wherever her neighbor discovers something weird.
Because again, I just go back, and I don't have any evidence of this, but like so many of the former FBI agents I've spoken to have just said, a lot of times it's someone close.
So scary. Yeah. Yeah. Right? You just never know. I don't know. I was hearing about phone towers being pinged and things like that. And, you know, because in the Kohlberger case, that was a definite thing that was a thing, right? There was a time frame. I don't know. I hope it's not anybody in our neighborhood. That would be scary. It might be, you know, somebody that maybe visits a neighborhood a lot. I don't know. It's really sad and really scary because my kids used to ride their bikes around by themselves and walk down to the neighbors' houses and things like that. So
your kids, did they grow up in this house?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So what do they think about all this?
Well, my son was telling me, he's like, oh, I know that because they used to just play out in the desert. It was kind of like the 70s.
I don't know. I don't know if Brian Intit says it at one point in this video, but I don't know, guys. I don't know if the house is close or not. But I don't think it's that close because, like I said, in the beginning of the video, he's walking a good little distance. It looks like he's coming from Nancy's house. So I would suspect she lives about a block down. I don't think she lives all that close to Nancy's house, but I think it's close enough to, you know, obviously walk there. It's not that far, but I think, you know, she's definitely not a direct neighbor like right next door, like the first house next door. I would suspect that it's about a block down. At least. Speaking of tactics, I also think they're using certain tactics right now as well, like the fact that they let Luke go. You know, even the fact that they told the family that they were off. I think that's also a tactic because it could be a way that they keep an eye on your behavior to see how your behavior changes, you know, once you're, you know, off or whatever the case is. You know, I think they're doing certain tactics with the community as well. I don't know. I just feel that way. You know, not the community, but the people that they suspect as suspects, you know. I just thought it was interesting how Luke, Dominique, is it Dominique? I think he might be. He's in the mix as well. Dominique. So it'd be Luke, Dominique, not Carlos. He's not in the circle. So Luke, Dominique, Carla, Kalila, Tommaso, and I think I'm missing a couple people. I thought it was interesting that they're in the same circle. You know, they both, Kalila and Tommaso both have their own bands. And, you know, they both perform at Club Congress. You know, their performances at one point in time were 6 days apart. They definitely know each other. It's a small world. And if they don't know each other, they at the very least know of each other. It's just kind of crazy that they're in the same circle. So that's a very interesting theory based on all of those group of people as well, just because they might be the closest thing to having something to do with this. But if not, which I don't think they do anymore. I used to feel that way, but I don't feel that way anymore. I think this was someone hired who isn't either from here. I still don't know what to think about that. But I think that, you know, They may or may not be from here. I think that they were hired, and right now, today, I feel like it was somebody in Mexico. But then tomorrow I might feel like, I don't know how to feel anymore. But then tomorrow I might feel like it was a neighbor and, she's somewhere close by. But due to the fact that I feel like more so I'm leaning in the inside job area, I would only suspect her to be somewhere in Mexico. But that's just my take on that.
Where the kids would just disperse and be gone half the day and come home to eat. So he knows that wash very well that runs parallel to Minna Vista. It's a big canyon down there. Behind Nancy's they would play. I mean, so he said I could help find her.
Because there's kind of an open area behind Nancy's, I noticed. So I was looking in one of the neighbors' backyards he was showing me, and it's like open desert back there.
Yeah, open desert.
Just kind of in between the houses, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like it could be a lot that someone just didn't build on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which has made me wonder, I mean, someone could come through the back, probably.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's probably how they got in, yeah.
The local YouTubers are doing nothing, just sitting there. What local YouTubers, though? Because, JLR and those guys are not from here.
And when you talk about the washes, I'm from Florida. So, what are those?
So they're where the water runs. Like, you just witnessed a storm. Sorry, Maple. Sorry.
Okay.
So you just witnessed a storm. And so that goes on in July, for an hour, and it floods these river beds that we call washes. And some of them are huge, and you'd never know they were there. So there's definite ways to navigate the Catalina foothills through washes.
And a wash is it like a trench?
It's like a big trench.
Okay.
Right, where the water's it's kind of like a river. So they are rivers. They're really dangerous, actually, in July when the monsoons come and they run. Like, you aren't supposed to drive. Some of them go over the road. You're not supposed to drive through it, things like that.
Oh, yeah, 857 is a local. I forgot about that. He's like one of the only locals. Besides myself, but I don't really go out. We spoke yesterday. I didn't. I'll probably post it tomorrow. I haven't had time to put the video up, but I went down there the other day. So I was those people who subbed up from JLR. There was several people who saw me, and they subscribed to the channel. So much love to those who did that. Oh, Exploring with Jim. I forgot about that guy. Exploring with Jim, Lisa says Exploring with Jim is the only one really looking, and the others are screwing him up just by throwing themselves in his net. It's sad, really. I feel like JLR's been moving around a lot. I don't know what Jim does. I haven't really been in tune in the gym. I've never seen his channel, if he has a channel. Justice says, my friend thinks that Nancy staged her own kidnapping. Wow. Tell me why I felt like that in the beginning. And that was a thought that came to mind. Like, I wonder if they set this up. Like, this is like how she wanted to go out. Like, she didn't want to go out in pain. She didn't want to die of being like, she's already old and going through a lot. But what if they just, need this money, because I think the insurance policy is relatively high. All these thoughts were just going through my head. I didn't know what to think, especially in the beginning of this thing. I'm just like, what if she really did set herself up? Not everyone's afraid of death either. Anyway, she says, my friends think that Nancy staged her own kidnapping, hence playing kidnapping games with their kids. I keep telling him that what about the blood in the stoop? Yeah. I thought that story was interesting when they told her about, when Savannah came out and said something about her uncle, I believe, picking them up, and he would kidnap them for a couple days, and then her mom would obviously at some point come and pick them up. That was super weird to me. Although I think the world criticizes people in a crazy way and makes things what they're not. So I really didn't think nothing of that though, just because the world's how the world is. So I don't think she meant it like that. But that's just my take on that. I don't know what you're referring to as far as the blood in the stoop. Are you talking about the droplets on the front porch? Jim is the badass dirt bike guy. Oh, wow. Why did I forget about him? Where's he been? They all went out to go eat. Yeah, I've been in tune. Yes, I've seen it all. I've seen everything. But they all went to go out and eat at one point in time as well. Yeah, I saw them yesterday. We talked for a little while. I think I was there for, all of about maybe 30 minutes or so. I took a screenshot, but I don't know if this is the screenshot here. Yeah, Jim came a long way, man. I feel like his channel kind of took off kind of crazy after that, I almost feel like at one point in time, nothing against Jim, but I almost felt like he might have been even homeless, but I think he has a house. Yeah, I went by yesterday and spoke to the guys, though. It was a nice little chat. I'll stop by again, I'm sure, and talk to JLR before he leaves again, or before he, actually gets out of here. Yeah, I like talking to those guys. Oh, my picture's kind of in the way, isn't it?
So you said there's one near here?
There's actually two, big ones that definitely, I saw the searchers in there and I'm like, good, I'm glad they're down in there because that would be a place you could, hide.
So, and you could use those to get in and out of the neighborhood?
Oh, yeah.
I think JLR could be a little more nosy, in my opinion. Actually, he's actually been kind of lax out here. I don't know. I feel like he's ballsy. I don't know. I get a ballsy vibe. When he got in that lady's face the other day, not in her face like that. He was obviously respectful, but the lady that just came and walked up out of nowhere and walked on the property and started taking pictures. But I don't know. I don't want to talk about the guy too much, I think he's a great guy considering what he's been through, and I don't know. The money part, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it definitely made a whole lot of money, that's for sure. People, I definitely saw that. A lot of people were donating hundreds of dollars left and right. That was crazy to me. I was like, wow. This guy's on a speed Kyson that level, man. It's crazy.
They all connect.
Interesting. Yeah. Is that because I went in a tunnel close by? Is that kind of the same system, sort of?
Yeah, it all runs down to the Rito River, which runs parallel to River Road.
Okay.
That big one where you cross the bridge to go get into the city from Campbell Avenue. You'll go over a big bridge. They all rush down into there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because like I said, I've always wondered. I mean, there's so many people are focused on the road and the camera's facing the road.
Yeah, I love JLR, man. He's great.
Well,
because you could probably get around here through the back ways.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I moved here in high school. I know that well.
Do you?
Yes.
You would sneak around?
Oh, yeah, of course. We all did. And we used to ride horses. My girlfriends all had horses, and we used to ride horses up and down Campbell and through the washes, and they'd come pick me up, and we'd go.
Yeah, I mean, they went all through the mountains the other day. JLR, Dad's Gone Live. I mean, they've been out here searching. They've been doing search days. I think today was an actual search day, guys. So they got out there today, and they searched around. I think they're just doing it for a good deed, but I think, and you never know. But for me, I think I know. And I think, obviously, for me, my time is my time is my time, and I don't feel like I'm gonna waste the time. Nothing against Nancy, because I want to 100% find Nancy, but I'm also not gonna waste my time if I don't think it's something that I should take the time to do, and not searching for her out here somewhere. I don't think that she's out here somewhere. Just because I'm a local here, I have a little bit more knowledge, based on my surroundings here and where things are at, and where she, I probably think, with me being a local, I have more of an idea of where she would, really be if she were here. And I don't think there's, for me personally, just trying to put myself in that situation, that I could think of any good places for me to bury a body. There's not really many places here that, you can bury a body and really get away with it. I'm sorry. I just don't feel that way, just being a local here. I don't think I could think of anywhere right now in my head. Even if I've sat in here and thought about it for days. I've had enough days to think about where I would take a body if, I were to take a body somewhere. And I don't think Tucson is a good place to try to bury a body. And it's something that's really not common here. So, that's crazy. Yes, everyone has their go-to YouTuber. Dad's Gone Live slipped up and said JLR has a boatload of buddy. Lisa says. I mean, I agree.
On our way, yeah. So
you're from Canada.
I'm from Toronto.
But you've lived in Tucson for how long?
Since 1981.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so
in this neighborhood since 1981.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So that's more than 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I just know that because I was born in 85 and I'm 40.
What do you think about abandoned El Diablo guest ranch? Very curious. I haven't heard about that. I know nothing about the El Diablo guest ranch. Where's that at?
Sorry.
I know, it's okay. I'm like, that's painful.
But has this area changed a lot?
No.
Yeah, we'll pause the video for a second. We'll talk about it because a lot of people are kind of actively saying things here. So, Candace says, okay, so John is the one who sits in the chat with JLR sometimes when James is the drunk guy who appears and disappears, and Jim is the riding dirt bike guy. Dirt bikes looking for Nancy. Did I get it right? I believe so. I don't know some of those guys, though. I'm not familiar with the name. If you're talking about John, I think you're talking about John being the Hispanic guy. Here, let's see. You might be talking about the Hispanic guy, I think, huh? For the most part, I know most of those guys, though. Taffy says, JLR heard all those coyotes behind Tommaso and Andy's house a couple weeks ago. Might be Nancy's clothes they found. See, that's what I'm saying. It's too late for that. We gotta stop throwing stuff out there that's not valid information anymore. Because that's not going to happen. We're not going to find Nancy's clothes 40 days later. We're just not. And I don't know if you mean now. I'm only assuming that you mean like that was recent. I'm not buying it. I'm not. There's just no way. Alex is the one Hispanic big guy. Oh, John is the old guy from AST Coast. I don't know who that is. I don't think I know who that is. The John is the older guy. Yeah, I don't know. Because I don't think John was there when I spoke to them the other day.
And,
yeah, I'm not sure, guys. Yeah, because when I went down there the other day and talked to these guys, it wasn't anybody but the Hispanic guy. I can't remember what somebody just said his name is. I forgot already. Dad's Gone Live, and then at one point in time, I think just before I arrived, Mark was there, but I didn't get a chance to talk to Mark because right as I got out, I think at some point when I got out, he had, he had walked away. So I didn't get to talk to him. Here, we'll pull the video up just real quick. I'm not going to watch it, but we'll pull it up real quick.
The whole thing looks like a new golf course.
Hey, I remember you.
I remember you. I was watching you.
What is your channel? You're like the Juice, right?
Yes,
the Juice. The Juice. I remember.
Come get some footage real quick because I've been
analyzing. The Juice. What's going on? How are you?
Guys at home, so
I couldn't remember. Yeah, the Juice. So.
That's
the
all.
Juice.
I've been talking about all three, y'all.
Appreciate
I just wanted to come out because I've been looking at that picture when he appeared with no backpack at one point in time in the video. And there's that house in the background, and then just a little bit closer to the house. If
the background actually you see is the house at the top of the hill because.
What are the lights on the left side, like just before the house?
Yeah,
I think
right
I think it's that stop no outlet sign.
Yeah, because look where the door thing is.
I had come by because I wanted to see, guys, I've been saying that there was a car that appeared in the background that I thought that there was a car in the background with the suspect in the picture. Where we saw with no backpack, you could see kind of lights in the background there. There's that house, and then you see the lights in the background. This is not the clear photo, so I guess I can't really show you right now. I'm not gonna really take the time to look for the actual photo because it might take me too long to find it. But I put some of the photos down that I thought I saved that photo. I guess I did. Well, I did, but I don't know what I put it under. Okay, that's the clear photo there. So this photo here, I thought that there was a vehicle, and I'll put the arrow directly on it. I thought this was a vehicle, so I wanted to go look at, to see for myself. And the Hispanic guy was telling me he thinks it was the sign. Because of the way Nancy's house is facing. If you could see where we're at, right there is pretty much where her door is facing, but a little further down to the left of where we're at. So I just wanted to come by and look just to see for my own speculation. And it turns out I think he's correct. So I had to check. But anyway. Let me move this photo. If I can, I gotta find it.
And the camera wouldn't hit anything here.
Yeah.
Where we're standing, it wouldn't hit us.
So it is a lot farther away.
Right. So the lights that you see.
I feel like it's more to the left, though, in that.
Yeah, it's a sign for sure.
The lights with the perp and the lights in the background. We know there's lights at the top. It's the house on the hill. There's controversy where there's some debate whether the additional light that's behind the perp is that no outlet sign or an actual car sitting. Personally, under further review, I would lean towards it was the no outlet sign. It just reflects. They're discussing it.
This is a tall drink of water. Yeah, I'm literally I'm tall. I guess I'm 6'4".
All the minds we got. Dad's going live. We got the Juice, and we got Alex. Still out here. The Juice.
I've got a long way to go, man. I've been coming. I'm new to crime. I was doing a lot of.
So I'm not that tall, I guess.
And I'm drinking juice.
I was commentating.
They are some
no Red
Bull. Pro gamers. Well, no, I would put a bunch of the pros in the game that I was playing, and I would spectate all of them and commentate. Just a place where they all could, hear their own name. I do physical therapy, yeah. Oh, okay. So, yeah. Thinking about getting my CDL soon and getting this out of there. It's good money, but I want to try something.
Delicious.
Not so good, man.
I wish I could go to that door, man. We can't, obviously.
But at nighttime, standards if you were at.
Yeah.
I was asking, it wasn't all over the top. It was like above the handle, kind of, right?
Yeah.
So if you come go right here, once you hit past it seems like you're moving.
I'll post this perception and my perception tomorrow. It'll probably look a lot better and make more sense.
Over here, you can kind of see it, but there's too much bushes in the way.
Right. I don't remember the
up there. You probably see out that way.
I'm observing. It's really hard to hear.
I'm not live, by the way, right now. I just wanted to get some footage. I'm just recording, so I just wanted to come by and see if I could.
Every time I see a YouTuber, I'm like, ooh, the YouTubers.
Match it up, man.
I'm just kidding.
I know.
We're eavesdropping their conversation.
Yeah, like
You guys are doing great.
I've been watching you too. I found you on there. What's up, did you?
Did you actually discover me on there? For real? That's crazy, man. I figured you guys should even,
on the live
couldn't even pass me on there.
And they're not even live. And you see what I'm saying? This is exactly what I'm talking about. They're not even live, and they're sitting there talking about the case and talking about the perp and talking about where the perp goes. They're not even live right now, and all of them are talking. They're not.
Yeah, JLR's not lying, bro. I literally wake
up
thinking about Nancy. Like, Nancy's literally my grandma now. Straight up. Nancy is the nation's grandma right now. I'm pretty sure y'all heard that before. She is. She really is. I go to sleep thinking about Nancy. I wake up thinking about Nancy. I'm at work thinking about Nancy. I'm like, every day I probably search at least 20 times a day, update on Nancy. But I'll post that tomorrow. Yeah, it was a nice conversation with those guys for sure. I enjoyed talking to those guys. So I mean, I like to go by, yeah, and like the great one saying, I like to get, good. I wanted to get a feel for it. It's probably my fifth or sixth time going by though. I've been by several times, so.
We're not talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice conversation for sure. It would be nice to sit down and have a conversation with these guys. They should have invited me to dinner. Since JLR's rich and everything, you know what I'm saying? He could have invited me to dinner, man. I would have been there for sure. I would have showed up for some free steak. They went to Longhorn without me. It's okay, though.
Anything else?
It's all good. I'll forgive him. I invite Jim, but not me.
It hasn't changed at all. Like,
what?
Other than people kind of updating their houses or building a few.
Nah, Jim's
My
been doing
girlfriend's
good,
the
though.
one building the house on Escalante at the top. So, no, it hasn't changed at all. I mean, Tucson has, of course, but not the Catalina foothills, not really.
Yeah, I was talking to someone at my hotel last night from Tucson, and she was telling me that like actual Tucson, like downtown in that area, has changed a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Like there's a lot more crime, and she said.
Yeah, Tucson's changed, yeah. But up here, no, until now.
See the car right behind JLR, he showed a pic saying that there was kind of a thing used to carry Nancy. Ooh, I didn't see that, no, not at all. I can go back to see if I see it. Actually, no, I think I exited out of that, so never mind. I don't think I can go back. Let's see. Yeah, I think I exited out of it. So I would have to go back. I don't know what he was talking about, huh? Justice says you have a good soul. Yo, thank you. I appreciate that. I try to have that at least. Candace says Candace, oh, she's talking to Candace. Okay, I was going to read that. I'm like, let me not read that. Candace says you're one of my favorites. No way. For real? Yo, that's love. It was today or yesterday. I'll look at that right now.
So I guess that's why people live up here, to be away from all of the.
Yeah. I've lived up here since then. I mean, after college, I moved to California, then I came back, but still, wasn't a long time there.
Have there been any burglaries or anything like that that you?
You know, I do know of
So I guess
one,
that's why people.
And
live
it was a
up here.
house that just continually got hit, and it's right on Campbell. And they got robbed, but I think that was about 5 years ago. So it's nothing.
News.
I mean, we'd all know
Breaking.
because we all kind of know each other. I have friends, 2 streets over, and they would
About
text me
anything
or
else?
call me and say,
Oh, I see what you're saying. No way. I think she would
Are
have.
you freaked out?
She would have broken that thing. He's saying this cart that's behind JLR. He was saying that JLR was saying that might have been used to carry Nancy out. This little bin-looking thing right there behind him. Nah, that would be tough to pull that thing. Dead weight, 150-pound body that feels like 300 pounds. Nah, I'm not. I don't think so.
Like, you think they're going to be able
No
to
way.
put him there? You know, I mean, like, to,
That would be crazy, though. Just imagine that.
Not really.
Because you gotta remember, they gotta.
No, I'm just not. I'm kind of more like.
They gotta go down those
like,
steps
we'll figure it
too.
out. You gotta figure things out.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not freaked
So
out.
they would have
Although
had
my
to pick
husband
her
put
up once they got to the
cameras
steps.
and things like that, but no.
It is weird. It happened right next to you, basically, down the
I
street.
know. And it's funny. Matt, my son, is a golfer at Ole Miss. So for high school, they were gone a lot doing tournaments. So
Apparently
I was here
a lot across
alone
from
a lot.
Nancy
And I
has
did
big
put
steps.
the alarm
Wow.
on, but I didn't terrify me. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's Nancy like? I know you
Guys,
said-
if you're watching the stream, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you're enjoying the channel here, don't forget to like the stream as well. I think we got 64 people tuning in, only 38 likes. We definitely got to get our likes up tonight. Also, just to remind you, it helps the algorithm of the stream as far as putting the stream out there. So don't forget to thumb up the stream if you're tuning in and you haven't. You might have forgot.
A little bit, but
She was a super sweet, kind woman. A heart of gold and just really sweet.
I don't really
From what
think
I remember of her.
I don't really think she knew Nancy that well. I don't know why she's acting like she knew that. If she's really acting like she knew Nancy well and she didn't, that's going to be pretty sad.
I haven't seen her in quite a few years, but other than on in her driveway walking my dog or on her porch or something. But what I remember of the
Joanne
times
says,
I did
awesome
meet
channel.
her,
Yo,
she
thanks
was
a
a
lot,
really
Joanne.
kind lady. Yeah.
I appreciate that. I'm trying. I got a long way to go.
Sad.
So
you know?
sad. I know, it's devastating.
I hope there'll be like a miracle, but it seems like more and more. It's just hard to imagine.
Yeah.
She's gonna walk back. You know what I mean?
I
But at the same
know.
time, it's
That's what I was hoping for the next day. That's why we all went out and looked for her. We were hoping for a miracle.
yeah.
And now we're really hoping for a miracle, but
Have you been like? What are your thoughts on law enforcement? 'Cause obviously, the sheriff has been under a lot of.
By the way,
Yeah.
guys, speaking of her, it being a miracle as far as Nancy coming back, the percentile is 1%. Yo, Holly, thanks for the sub and this and liking the stream. I appreciate that. I from what I heard, statistically speaking, the percentile is 1% of a chance of them finding Nancy at this point. So it is highly likely we will ever see Nancy again.
he's a very controversial character.
Yeah.
I have my opinions about that. I just don't think it was handled properly, but I'm also not a law enforcement person, so I try not to be too critical.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, yeah.
It seems like the FBI and the locals are working better together now, though.
I hope so.
And even when they've come back through the neighborhood, it just seems more organized now.
Yeah, I did notice that. Yeah.
When's the last time they came here? Was it?
Probably, oh my gosh, it's been 30 days, probably 2 weeks. They haven't been
Okay.
back in 2 weeks. I was actually, I received an email and I was expecting them to come back and talk to us, but they haven't.
They emailed you?
No, sorry.
No.
Somebody sent an email from the Catalina Foothills Association.
Sorry.
Okay.
So we have an HOA.
Okay.
And it's not a very active one. I think we pay $50 a year.
Yeah.
But
She's
they did
so
email us
weird.
and tell us, like, it's okay.
It is so weird. I'm sorry. She's weird. I don't know what's weird about her, but I can't call it. But she's weird to me.
Let everybody in. They did go to my sister's house.
Did
and
they?
check- Yeah.
And she
check-
said she lives right near here, too.
She
yeah.
lives right up the street. They went to my sister's house on the second Friday night after Nancy went missing at like 7:30 at night. It was raining with hoodies on, black hoodies, and we're tapping on her windows and frantically ringing her doorbell, and she answered it. I don't remember if they asked to come in or if she just offered for them to come in. It was raining and it was cold. And so they went in. I think the male did not take his hoodie off. The female did. They wanted to know if she had a pacemaker, and they wanted to look into her garage. And so she was like, okay. I mean,
this story's so weird. I don't even want to believe that it was a real FBI, because why would one FBI identify themselves and the other one be unwilling to identify themselves? And even if he isn't willing to identify himself, why wouldn't the one who identified themselves identify the other FBI agent? You're asking for this lady to do stuff for you as far as getting like her DNA, they were there, letting them even be in her home. But you can't identify yourself, or you can't, bring some type of comfort to this lady and tell her who the other person is. You're scaring the lady. Perhaps she's already scared because of what's already occurred in the neighborhood as well. I don't even know if these FBI were real.
Alone, and was like, sure, of course, you're the
They got to get more organized. This is bad.
FBI. Apparently on her hoodie was just a little FBI emblem up here. Well, then they left. And
so they were in her house.
They were in her house for like 20 minutes and talking to her, and she was asking questions, and they were kind of vague, and the guy didn't really speak, and he kind of creeped her out. So they left, and my niece called and said, are you sure they were the FBI? Because we all had discussed about copycat crimes, people posing as police officers, things like that. So she called the 1-800-FBI number, and it was busy, or said they were busy. So she called 911, and within 15 minutes, 10 minutes, there were 7 police cars, 4 FBI agents, said it wasn't the FBI. She was terrified. They swabbed her, fingerprinted the entire house.
So they swabbed her mouth.
They swabbed her mouth.
For DNA, wow.
Yeah, and then were there till the middle of the night, and then just left, and she was terrified. So the next day, at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, she got a call from the large group of FBI agents that were there and said, oh yeah, by the way, that woman was an FBI agent. We don't really know who the guy was, but she was, so you're fine. And she was like, no, I'm not fine. I'd like to know exactly what's her name. Tell me more about it. They were in my home. And it's
So why would they have swabbed her and did fingerprints in the whole house?
Because I think in the beginning, the two entities weren't talking to each other properly.
So
I think the
confused.
FBI.
What do you mean? Forget the lady. What's the guy's name too? Well, not forget the lady, but what's the guy's name?
In the sheriff's department, the two
weird.
entities weren't.
It's in the whole house.
Home. I'd like to know exactly what's her name. That woman was a large group of FBI agents that were there and said, oh yeah, by the way, that woman was an FBI agent. We don't really know who the guy was, but she was, so you're fine.
We don't really
she
know
was like,
who the guy
no,
was.
I'm
but
not
you're
fine. I'd like to know exactly what's her name. Tell me more. Like, no, I'm not.
How unorganized is that? We know who the woman was that went to your door that was an FBI, but we don't know who the guy was. Why wouldn't they know who the guy is? Why aren't all of the FBI agents that are assigned to this investigation, is this not documented? She couldn't tell the guys that were giving the information to this lady whether or not if the other person that came along with the lady and spent 4 hours in her home was a legitimate FBI agent and what his name was. Are you kidding me? This thing is terrible. I mean, what? They got to get organized.
Not fine. I'd like to know
really
exactly what's her
matter of fact, it's too late to get organized. It's been 40 days. 40 days.
her name. Tell me more about it. They were in my home, and it's.
So why would they have swabbed her and did fingerprints in the whole house?
Because I think in the beginning, the two entities weren't talking to each other properly. I think the FBI and the sheriff's department were not communicating. So eventually she figured out it was an FBI agent, but the sheriff's department didn't think it was in the beginning. So that's why they went there and swabbed my sister. And Yes,
Wow.
so that was like a huge red flag.
That it was just disorganized, the whole.
Totally, right? Wouldn't you think that? And then he was rather dismissive to my sister the next day and said, "Don't worry about it." She's like, "But I have questions," and he was like, "I'm not at liberty to answer them." So.
JLR shows a picture of the cart they think was used, and so happens to be the car used by someone there with him March 11th. Wow. I would like to see that picture. R4 says, sounds like the rights were violated, but they are okay with trading it for 15 minutes of fame. Seriously. Why not interview the person this actually happened to? Right. Yeah, because she's talking about somebody else right now.
They were there for how long again?
They were there for probably 3-4 hours, I believe.
Like processing her house, basically?
Yeah.
For finger.
Yeah.
So they thought it was like a fake.
They thought it was a fake FBI invasion, somebody that was casing her. Yeah. So she was terrified. Yeah.
Did she come over here?
Casing you too.
She went to her daughter's house. She called me the next day because she knew wouldn't answer my door.
Yeah.
She was like, "I didn't think you'd come to your door." So she went to my niece's house because she was terrified.
That is, wow.
Yeah,
I mean, I heard they were disorganized in the beginning, but that's really.
Yeah, I think she spent 4 nights with my niece and then had cameras installed and lights installed and things like that. Yeah. So I know.
That's a really crazy story.
It's really sad. I mean,
Yeah, it almost sounds like she just wants attention and this story is not even true. It does. It sounds like this is a fake, false story. It almost sounds like it was made up and she's messing with, poor Brian. This lady ain't telling the truth. Yeah. Star says if the story was true, all they have to do is ask that female agent, but why allow someone in your house if you don't know for certain who they are? Yeah, what an idiot. That doesn't even make any sense. And I get it. We were fresh to the case at this time. It was a fresh case, we weren't definitely where we are today with it, although we're not anywhere near closer to finding our suspect for all we know. But this is a very suspicious interview. It's hard to believe that, the things that she's saying. She says she knows Nancy well. She claims she saw a suspicious guy. And, the fact that she waited 38 days just to say this was like, it was almost like she just was like, a lot of people have been throwing things out there that aren't true. I'm going to just go do that too. No, I know she didn't do that. But still, it's just, I don't know what to think about this lady. She's just not giving me good vibes. Yeah, this lady's odd.
Terrified. I mean,
Yeah.
she was terrified. And she's one of those scaredy cat women that was then really terrified. So I felt terrible for her.
Have you heard anything else from any of the other neighbors? Anything that's happened?
Oh, for sure. I mean, we've all talked and, compared notes. And I heard the gentleman across the street, their dog woke up in the night. He also told me that their internet went out.
Is this the lady that bothered JLR in the beginning when he first initially got here and she kept asking if he wanted anything in the drink or, she just kept kind of following him and talking to him for a while? It sounds like that's her voice.
Yeah.
And we were going to call to find out about our internet as well.
Kind of hot old lady? Wow.
We haven't yet, which we should, but
It's not bad, I guess.
but that's about it. And then the neighbors next on the other side of me moved out. Like I said, I wanted them to check that house because
It's just been empty.
yeah. So, but other than that, no one else is really talking about it.
And this is just on a different note, but it's interesting. When I came in and we were chatting, you were saying this house actually has had something happen before.
Yes, it did. So in 1985-86, there was a big Tucson case. It was called the Primetime Rapist. And he would, unfortunately, assault women at primetime TV hours, thus his name. And one of the women that were assaulted was in this house, which I said to my husband, how weird that it's on the same, juncture that Nancy, or street that Nancy lives on. And
So that happened in your house?
Yeah, it did happen in my house. And I didn't even know that when I bought this house. My mother had to tell me. She's like, you bought one of the primetime.
Blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares about all that. My goodness. We're here to talk about Nancy, not what happened to you in the past. My goodness. Yeah, she just wants fame. There's no way this lady just does not want fame. My goodness. Guys, I want to thank y'all for stopping by and tuning in tonight. I got to get going because I got to work tomorrow. However, look for me to go live tomorrow. I will live a lot longer than this, probably sooner than this. I may stop by Nancy Guthrie's house tomorrow and do a live as well. I'm not sure. It just depends on where time takes me tomorrow, or where the day, in other words, take me. Everyone have a good night. Get some rest. I don't know what time it is for you, but it's 4:40 a.m. for me. I work at 8:30 a.m. So that means I'm only going to get 3 hours of sleep, but it was all worth it. Thanks to you guys coming by and tuning in tonight and, you know, giving me something to talk about, you know. Much love, guys. It's your boy YouTube Juice. Talk to y'all soon.